Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and yes to a watch-along, a qualifying watch-along more specifically, obviously, because it's Saturday afternoon. Hope you're all well. It's been a while since we've done one of these. I think Abu Dhabi was the last one, so it's been a little bit of a while. Some issues with live timing, but all sorted now. More on that a little bit later when we get to the watch-along screen. But how are you all enjoying, rather, your Saturday afternoon, Saturday morning, wherever you are in the world? It's quite a nice day here in Lincoln, in the UK. But yes, Italy, Monza. Oh, I love this track. It's been fantastic watching it all over practice and whatnot, as always. And there's so much to go over in this kind of pre-show thing over the next 30 minutes. We've got engine modes, or party modes, if you want to call them that. Everything going on at Williams. What the heck is going on at Ferrari? Oh, I've been looking forward to this weekend ever since they pushed back that engine mode ban in Spa. So I'm quite hyped, as I am for most race weekends. As you will know if you're a regular to the channel, I like to get nice and hyped for race weekends. It's all I've got. Let me have my Sundays. Hey too, let's do some shout outs in chat super quickly before we get going. Forza Ferrari, good afternoon. MCIT, hi to you. Flying Tiger, yo. That's about as youthful as I'll get in this stream, I can promise that one. Lovely weather in the UK for KAB. Ferrari is depressing, says Michael. Good afternoon, mate. Monza always gives great races. And who else have we got in there? Loads of people. Michael again saying, hey. Yes, ready for this one. Ready for this one. So I suppose we'll start with engine mode bans, really, is the big talking point today, isn't it? What's going to be happening this afternoon? Mercedes have claimed, and I don't think we've got any reason to really doubt them, except they like to play things down as it is, but they've claimed they were running 0.6 slower than they needed to be in Spa. So there's a lot of concern from a lot of people, particularly on social media, that we're going to go into this weekend and this big engine mode ban that everybody's been excited for to close up the field is actually going to end up being just, rather than Mercedes being a second up the road, they're going to be half a second up the road. And I think that's kind of where I stand with it. I'm fully expecting probably Mercedes to lock out that front row. But practice this afternoon, or this morning rather, McLaren were right in the mix. And I know it's only practice and, you know, things are maybe not quite flat out ready for a proper run. It's not representative, if you like, but it was great to see McLaren right up there in the mix. And if we can see Red Bull get within 0.3, maybe something like that in qualifying, and maybe if McLaren can get sort of half a second off, we might actually end up with quite a nice race. But I think Q2 is going to be fascinating today as well, because there's a lot of belief. Sky were talking about it in FP3, I think it was, that Mercedes might be able to get through Q2 on the hard tyres. That's kind of that's kind of the dominance we're talking about here, people. It's ridiculous. They could get through on the hard tyres, which is a terrifying prospect, I think it's fair to say. But I fully expect to see a lot of people heading for mediums. But the field's actually very close this weekend. FP3 on screen now, you can see top left-ish. 0.8 covering the top 13. There are a few things in there. Hamilton didn't get his flying lap in because of some slower traffic. We'll talk about that in a bit. So maybe that's not representative for him. But yeah, it's a fascinating afternoon. And I think that's why I'm kind of glad to bring watch-alongs back today, because this is going to be really interesting just to try and work out what kind of difference this engine mode ban's going to make. I don't know what you guys think. I'm not expecting to see Mercedes suddenly locking out the third row. I think they will still be the team to beat. But Renault looking good again. Danny Rick this afternoon, or this morning again, getting it wrong this morning, stopping on track with an issue with his car. Apparently not power unit or gearbox, so no penalties expected. Thank God, because he just put in the third fastest time at that point as well. So I think Renault are looking good. I think McLaren are looking good. Red Bull and AlphaTauri with their Honda power units are looking good. I think Mercedes obviously are looking good. Ferrari not so much. But I think, let me know in chat, if you watched FP3, I do feel like Ferrari are better this weekend than they were in Spa. So I'm starting to wonder if all of that from Mattia Binotto saying it was a bit track specific might actually be true. They definitely feel like they are, you know, we're not talking threatening pole position like they were 12 months ago, but I think they do appear to be a little bit better around this track. I mean, I'm not totally sure. What was their times? Have a look on FP3. Head to the time screen. Charles Leclerc was 11th. Maybe not quite so much better. 0.8 off. That's definitely better. Vettel down in 15th. Okay, 1.1 seconds off, but that feels a bit better as well. But there's still both drivers complaining about that car. So I'm not expecting amazing things from Ferrari, but I would be surprised if we lost them in Q1. And I think they will be closer to Q3. I can't believe I'm talking about Ferrari like this. It's mad. They'll be closer to Q3 than they were in Spa as well. But We'll see. We'll see. They are a bit better, says Ben. I'm glad it's not just me, Ben. I honestly thought I was going mad then when I looked at the timing screens. I was like, what are you talking about, Sean? They're 11th and 15th. But yeah. Oh, dear. Any update on Ricardo car for quali? That's from Sean Gale. Last I read was it wasn't power unit or gearbox, so he should be okay to qualify as normal. But if there's any issues there, they've only had about 2 hours to turn it all around, didn't they? So I'm glad it wasn't. I think they've had sensor issues in the past as well. So that could be what it is. We've seen that this season where the car just stops with a sensor issue and then they effectively control alt delete and everything's fine. So we shall see. To be fair, it's hard to be worse than Spa, says Josh. Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. Ferrari fans won't like it, but it's a fair comment. They definitely feel like they're a little bit better, and we are 25 minutes away from the start of qualifying. But yeah, I think we'll talk about it as the session goes on, of course. We've got a full hour to go over engine modes and that, but I'm quite... I feel like I'm setting myself and maybe you guys up for a bit of a fall here by saying that I'm quite excited about seeing what kind of difference we get, because I just have this horrible feeling that I'll get all giddy and, oh my God, this is going to be incredible. And then Q3 comes around and Hamilton's on pole by a second and a half or something mad like that. Because don't forget, of course, that they've got to nominate a power unit mode that will run them now through qualifying and through the race. So Mercedes aren't going to pick a super fast mode because they don't want to put that strain on the engine for the full Grand Prix tomorrow, which is predicted to be around about an hour and 20 minutes. You don't want to be running your engine flat out for that consecutively, but they're not going to run the slowest mode to look after reliability because they still need to be going for pole position. We all know as well that car is not good at following, so it needs to be up the front. It's kind of as simple as that. So they're going to find a middle ground, but Toto Wolff has been quite, I suppose, open in a way, quite open about the fact that he thinks, or the data's showing them, that by saving those flying laps flat out in qualifying, it's going to give them something like 15, 20 plus laps in the race where they can run a bit quicker. So it might close up in qualifying, but the problem you've then got is Mercedes have got more power to use during the race than perhaps they would normally do. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it will all be okay. Hopefully it will all be okay. Jamal says Ferrari are the Man United of F1. That is unacceptable. I will not stand for that. How dare you come in here slating? It's probably right, but yeah. Anyway, Williams, that's what I wanted to talk about probably for quite a while. It's been quite a... I think emotional's maybe taking it a bit too far. Let me know what you think in chat, but I think it's been quite a downbeat weekend around Williams. Not so much for their chances, but obviously Sir Frank Williams, and Claire Williams stepping away after this Grand Prix, and it's... The more I think about it, I kind of touched on this in the video on Thursday, the reaction video to the news. I think it's a sad day for Formula One that we've kind of now, I suppose, said goodbye to the old garage Easters, if you like, and we've kind of lost that last proper family-run team in Formula One. But as somebody points out in the comment section, nobody's died. The team is still there. All of those people that are employed also have their jobs, and it seems like it's the best thing for Williams. And I think... hopefully, Dorilton Capital. I think the jury's out on them. They're an investment company. They're there to make money, aren't they? They're not there to go racing necessarily. It's weird how Williams have gone from this family-run team who go racing for the love of going racing to now being owned by an investment firm that are there to make money. I mean, good luck with that. I don't know. Was it more than half the grid last year, including the likes of Ferrari, posted losses? I think McLaren posted a massive loss. Or that was the figures in 2019, possibly for 2018. But you don't make massive money in Formula One. You don't. I know they're basically on-track billboards, super high-speed billboards, but they don't make as much money as people think in Formula One, and you've got to be successful. So I think they're probably looking, if I'm being optimistic, maybe a few years, 4 or 5 years, and then sell it on. But if I'm being pessimistic, they'll probably be gone in a couple of years, and we'll have somebody else in charge of that team, possibly a Latifi. I don't know, or a Mazepin might come in and buy them out. That's one for the future, but we'll see with Dorilton. They might be brilliant. Claire Williams is quite nice about them. I mean, she's got to be this weekend, really, hasn't she? We'll see what she says ahead of Mugello. She might be like, they're terrible. They're all horrible people, but I don't think they'd sell the team if they weren't confident they got the right buyers in. But it feels like the right time. Sir Frank, obviously, bless him, not getting any younger. He can go off and enjoy some proper retirement now. Claire can concentrate on her family. What I did find interesting, though, and quite surprising, is that Claire Williams has said that it was her choice to step away. Dorilton wanted her to stay on as deputy team principal, and she decided that she didn't feel... I think the way she worded it, I think they've just done the interview on Sky, I've been watching clips of it, but I think the way that Claire worded it was that because the Williams family didn't own the team anymore, she didn't feel like she could put all that passion and all that effort into the team now that it was somebody else's. So she decided to walk away. And I do think it's the right call. And it feels like the end of an era. But again, as many of you will point out, I'm sure the most important thing for that team, quite frankly and quite honestly, is that, as I reposition my mic, is that that the team survives. There are so many people employed there. There's such a great legacy, and we'll see. I hope we don't end up with Derilton Grand Prix or something in a few years' time. That'd be bad. KAB says it's sad, but it's best for the business. Completely agree. Jamal wants to know if it's still going to be called Williams. It will be the rest of this season. As far as I know, it will be next year. After that, we shall see. I think, and actually I will put this here. I thought about this last night, actually. I was going to put it on Twitter, but I saved it for the stream. Let me know in the chat. Is this still the Williams team? Because it is by name, and all the achievements are still there. It's still one of the most successful teams in Formula One. But does it feel now just like it's just a car carrying a name rather than proper Williams? Here he goes. Okay, boomer. But yeah, proper Williams. It doesn't feel quite the same, even though they're still there this weekend. It just feels, I don't know how to explain it. It's really weird, but we'll see. Williams' name is staying. That's from William. It's still Williams, says Mark. Oh, of course it is. It doesn't feel quite the same. We'll see. They've still got all the achievements, like I say, and we'll be able to feel. It'll feel different again in Mugello. It feels weird this weekend. It'll feel completely different in Mugello too. Just doing a thing on Jochen Rindt on Sky at the minute, so that might be interesting to watch back later. Big fan of, or I was a big fan of Jochen Rindt, or I still am. Obviously, I wasn't around. I'm old. I'm older, but I'm not that old, that's for sure. Abdullah says it's not anymore. Technically, yes, but it doesn't have the same feel as the Williams branding with them not there, says RC. It's lost what made them special almost, hasn't it? That face of Formula One, we've kind of lost the face behind Williams, which I do think is sad. And call me boring and pathetic, I don't mind. That's just who I am. I like history in Formula One. It's a big thing that I'm a big fan of. Maybe there should be more historical content on the channel. If that's the case, Sean, think about it. But yeah. Ben agrees, not quite right. So yeah, goodbye to Claire Williams and Sir Frank, and thank you, Sir Frank Williams, as well for everything. Almost a pioneer, and he was the last of those, like I say, the Garage Easters, those properly privately owned teams. And they've got like Gene Haas is a good point. That's his team, but Haas is not a family-run thing in the same way that Williams would. Yes, it's owned by Gene Haas, it's named after him, but I think there's other people involved there, and it's not the same. But yeah, I think Sir Frank deserves a huge lot of credit, and a huge lot of love for what he's done for Formula One on and off track. Absolutely. So yes, we will miss him, I'm sure, but I also miss Ken Tyrrell when he left Formula One initially, obviously before he passed away. Missed so many other team bosses and these old independent teams. It happens in Formula One, and we're in a completely different era now. So it's the right thing for Williams, I think, going forward as a business, like we've said a couple of times now. So yeah, I think Claire probably right now to bring somebody else in, freshen everything up, and have a fresh start. And obviously 2022 on the horizon. There you go. Plenty of time for them to develop some sort of good car and maybe move a little bit further up the field. But as somebody pointed out in the comments the other day, we have to remember, as much as we'd love to see Williams up there, somebody's got to be last. Not everybody can be first. So we'll see. We'll see how they get on going forward. Other big talking point today: traffic. I'm gonna get on my deep breath and stay calm. So traffic. We talked about this last year, and we had that ridiculous, if you remember, dangerous, but at the same time, as wrong as it probably is to say it, quite comical, that we had all those cars slowing down on the way to Parabolica and arguing over who was going to go in front and who was going to get the tow, and then all of a sudden, I think everybody but Sainz, I think maybe somebody else got in, but definitely Sainz got his lap in, but nobody else made it to the line before the checkered flag came out, so they couldn't complete their lap. And that was all there last year. And then we had that in Formula 3 as well last year, and in Formula 2, I think to a lesser extent, but it was still there. And then we get to 12 months later, and it feels like nothing's changed. We're having the same conversation we were probably having in the qualifying watch-along for Italy last year. That what we've essentially now got, this stupid situation where cars are driving incredibly slowly because they don't want to take life out of their tyres, plus they want the slipstream, because it is so powerful around Monza. That straight out of Parabolica all the way down to turn 1, and then even the run to the second chicane, it's so important to have that slipstream. And it's a DRS, but to have that slipstream, so they're going to be fighting over that. So we've got cars that are going so slowly to try and take advantage of that, which is completely understandable. If you are a team boss, a team strategist, if you like, if you're a driver, you want your best opportunity to qualify as high as possible. And if that is slipstream and looking after your tyres on your outlap, that's what you're going to do. It makes sense. The problem is, and we saw it in practice 3, Lewis Hamilton very nearly into the back of one of the Hasses. I think it was Kevin Magnussen. Nearly into the back of one of the Hasses, because you had cars on the left that had slowed right down, then you had a Haas in the middle of the track that had slowed right down. Lewis Hamilton's coming along trying to put a lap in, and has to take evasive action, nearly goes into the back of him. I mean, you know, some people on Twitter have said that Hamilton should have backed out, he should have known better. You can't put that on Hamilton. If you want to blame anybody at Mercedes for that, maybe the strategist or Bono should have said, look out, there's some traffic ahead. But the thing is, Kevin Magnussen should not have been in the middle of the track. It's quite simple, and that was so dangerous. And it feels like we're going to need some kind of massive crash before the FIA take this properly seriously. They've put a maximum lap time in, so drivers have got to get round within that maximum lap time. I think it's a 1:43 something. That's the projected one. So they've got to get around in that time, otherwise they could face a penalty. They're not allowed to stop on track effectively like they have been doing. They've got to get round in that time. So we'll see if that makes any difference. But I fear that we are, doing this live stream, going to be talking over and discussing a massive accident if things don't get resolved. I think there were 8 drivers who were taken to the stewards room or summoned to the stewards room after FP3. So I hope that a good talking to will sort this out. But I don't know what the solution is, really. I said to Jonty in a massive, you know how I get. I don't always think before I talk. You might have noticed. I get a little bit stroppy. And I sent a DM to Jonty on Twitter, and I was like, one-shot qualifying, that's the only way to solve this. This is ridiculous. It's not the only way to solve this. There's plenty of ways this can be solved. Really, you know, that final sector, you have to adhere to this lap time, this sector time. You can't go too slow, and, you know, this is your minimum speed or the maximum speed, or I don't know. There's loads of ways around it in that third sector. Even stupid things like single file, no messing about. Once you hit that beam, if you like, to start the third sector, you stay behind the car that's in front of you, and if you're in front of another car, you stay where you are. No more jostling for position, because it's going to take for something major to happen is, like we saw in FP3, a driver absolutely flat out trying to put their qualifying lap in whilst other people are doing their out lap, and they're in the middle of the track messing about, and you're just going to get, the car's just going to fly. It's going to absolutely fly. But we'll see. I mean, if you've got any suggestions in chat, we'll do that for a few minutes before we get on to some other bits about quali and get into the qualifying. Watchalong, what you think? Maximum lap time won't change anything, says Jamal. I think it's too slow. Stupidly. I mean, what was the time in practice? I bet I can't find it now, can I? No, they've changed the timing screen. Bear with me a second. But I don't actually think... The time in FP3 was a 1:20.0, so they're still allowed to go 23 seconds slower. I don't know. It feels too slow, and I know that you've got this. People will say, "Oh, well, you know, people have got to look after their tyres, and you don't want to be taking too much out of them." But they're all in the same boat, and you know it's going to be the same for everybody in the end. Obviously, if a car's harder on their tyres, maybe not. But bring back Super Bowl, says Max Claydon. Few people saying, "Look at what F2 did." Was it last year in Monaco where they sent them out in 2 groups? But, you know, that's not really Formula One. We want to see them all out there, don't we? That drama. I love qualifying it is. I've always been a fan of one-shot qualifying, but I think this is the best format we've ever had. I absolutely adore, you know, you've got cars on track, start to finish pretty much, and that's what we want in qualifying. We don't want to go back to the old days, but something needs to be done at some tracks if they're not going to be sensible. These are the best. It's a Martin Brundle line. These are the best drivers in the world, but they are. We shouldn't be having this conversation. They should know. But at the same time, they've got engineers in their ear going, this is the lap time, stick to this, you need to do this to the tyres. It's crazy, isn't it? So, yeah, one-shot quali, question mark, Jimmy. Is that your solution, Jimmy, or are you asking what one-shot quali is? If I'm quite happy to explain one-shot quali, I love it. But I'm sure you're just suggesting it as an option. They were doing about 155, says Novelty Robot. Did it apply in FP3? I don't think it did. So I think they were going stupidly so. I think it's one of those things that's from qualifying onwards. I don't know. They put out an instruction last night or yesterday, and then it changed again overnight. So I don't know what. I'm sure Crofty will say when I get my headphones on for commentary, but there's a few things there. Ghosting cars. Oh, that's your solution. Findlay, right there. Ghosting cars. We'll go full F1 2020. The cars will ghost. If only, eh? That'd be fantastic. Reverse grid qualifying race, says Varun. Let's not start that argument. Explain one-shot quali, says Stephen. So, one-shot quali, each driver would go out. We've got 1 hour for the session. Every single driver would go out. So a driver would go out. They'd be on their out lap and warming everything up as they would. And then they go and do 1 lap, 1 time. Whilst they're doing their 1 time, the other person comes out the pit lane behind them effectively. They get their lap ready and then they do their lap. So basically you just have 1 driver doing a hot lap at any given moment, a little bit like Formula 3 Super Pole, not Formula 3, Formula E Super Pole. You have 1 driver doing a lap at a time. That means there's no traffic, there's no messing about with tows and all of that rubbish. It is just warm, get your car sorted. I think there's a maximum lap time as well for that. I'm not sure if that was something that changed or not, but you go around, get to the line, do your lap, finish your lap, slow down, get in the pits. You can't get in anybody's way. It's brilliant. It also eliminates things like yellow flags because everybody gets their lap regardless. The only thing it does mean is that when you get changeable conditions, and this is something that a lot of people don't like, is that when you get changeable conditions, if you've gone out, let's say George Russell goes out and we do 1-shot quali, he puts his lap in and does a 1:20.0, for argument's sake, it then chucks it down with rain. Everybody else, or let's say a few cars, so your first 5 or 6 cars go out nice and dry, you get your grid set, and then it chucks it down with rain. Your Mercedes, your Ferraris, and all of them, Ferrari back there anyway, but you know what I mean, are all at the back of the grid. Now, that's a great way to mix the grid up, but it's also, a lot of people say it's not fair. So there you go. But breaking news, Formula 1 is not fair. I don't know if anybody's noticed, it certainly doesn't feel it at times. So, yes. Yeah, Blockfight just saying, if there is rain for half the session, are they in a mess? Yeah, basically. I think that's one of the reasons people didn't like it. I just love the session we've got, but there's ways around it. I'm sure there is a clever person in the FIA somewhere that can work something out, but they will probably wait till there's a massive accident. There you go. I liked 1-shot quali. I thought, you talk about wanting to mix the grids up. That was a perfect way of doing it, but unfortunately it wasn't very popular with the fans, and, well, it was popular fans, but I think people were frustrated with getting caught out by track evolution, getting caught out by the weather. But that's kind of the same as we've got now. If somebody goes out in Q1 and all of a sudden we get a shower, then you're going to lose some big cars in Q1. So yeah, we'll see. We will see. There's something else I wanted to talk about today, and I can't remember what it was. We've got an hour. There's plenty of time. I'll take some of your questions as well in a moment before we head over to the Watchalong screen. I'm going to say it. No on-track footage in this live stream for obvious copyright reasons. I'm still saving to buy the rights from Sky. I'm around about 998 million. That's BS. I got a few million sat in the bank now. I'm well off the 1 billion or something crazy like that. I'd need to buy the rights as soon as I can. We will show it live on YouTube. I don't think that's ever going to happen. So, just showing examples in Spa of the traffic problems they had and people just staying out of the way. Roman Grosjean coming up to that final chicane, the bus stop, the horrible bus stop. So, yeah, and then we saw the same in FP3. But yeah, no live footage. We've got live timing, which we'll go to very, very shortly. I'll have a timer on there as well for each session as well. Just make sure, chat, to remind me to update it. It's effectively me just talking nonsense. It's what I used to say. I watch, you watch, and we watch along together. That is so cheesy. I hate saying that. So yes, but I'm not going to keep saying it through the stream. So just to let you know, that's the situation before we get there. But we're about 6 minutes away from the start of quali. So we're about a minute away from that wonderful music that we all love. RC suggests the lottery is a thing. $1 billion. I don't know what the deal was. I've got it in my head that they paid that kind of crazy money for a 5-year deal. It could have been £3.50 in a bag of crisps. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Maybe it was, but I'm pretty sure it was a hefty sum of money. But then, some months £25 a hefty sum of money to me. So who knows? But yes, minimum speed in the third sector, says Matthew Peters. Definitely. That's So I think it doesn't need to be the full lap time, just that final sector. They've got those timing splits, haven't they, constantly through the sector. I think there's some great apps out there that show the whole thing. So definitely sort of show each loop. So there's the option to do that. They've got all the stuff they need. But we'll see. We'll see how this goes. But I hope that in 12 months' time we're not. I fear we will be. But I hope we're not sat here having this same conversation. I really hope that in an hour's time we're not sat here talking about a massive accident either. But yes, so we watch as one. Very good. Let's get some predictions in the chat then. So we'll do predictions now. We'll do them again just before Q3. Who do you think is getting pole position today? Let me know in chat. One surname. I think Bottas is looking good. He looked good yesterday. He looked good this morning. The problem is Lewis Hamilton always seems to have that little bit extra, doesn't he, when it comes to Saturday? So we'll see. Bottas, championship-wise, gotta win. Gotta win this weekend. There's no more of this, oh, well, if he finishes second, you never know, there might be a couple of DNS. He has to win. That is it. If he doesn't win this weekend, even though I still think the championship's done, I think that is it. He's got to win it. Also looking forward to seeing Albon out there. He's looked pretty good so far. He could do with a nice straightforward quali, set himself up good for the race. If he can get himself behind Verstappen, that's where he needs to be in quali. He can really play a part tomorrow with strategy, but I also can't wait to see what those Renaults and those McLarens can do. So super quickly with predictions. Eric says Hamilton, so does RC. Bottas for Ben. Alex has gone with Hamilton. Forza Ferrari says Bottas, Guardian of the Blind. The pole sitter will be either British or Finnish. I need to get you a job on this channel, Guardian of the Blind, because that is perfect. Right on the fence. Love it. Varun says Bottas. Simba says Bottas. Max Claydon, I think a little bit tongue-in-cheek, says Leclerc. Russell for Jamal. Could Russell get out of Q1? I think he could do. That wouldn't even be a surprise anymore, would it? Let's be perfectly frank about it. Hamilton for Sard. Let's go down a little bit further. Bottas. Elijah says Bottas as well. Ujo says Hamilton. Lewis, Bottas and Verstappen. That's the top three from Abyss. Scroll a bit further. I have to say Hamilton. Says Jerome. Block Flight's gone with Hamilton, of course. No doubt. Rusty's gone with Hamilton, Bottas, Ricardo. Ricardo, top three. Sard's gone with Ricardo. Jamie, Hamilton, a Ferrari. Lol, says Blobman. Hulkenberg says Matthew Peters has always won. And Kimmy, yes, Kimmy. That'd be good when I see Kimmy up there. Missed him. Was he on pole a couple of years ago? I think I did a graphic earlier that should have been on stream at some point. Let's get Crofty in my ear. I'm sure he'll wind me up good and proper. Right there. I like Crofty. I'm not going to say it. Just sometimes it's like, Crofty, stop it. All right, just calm down. Love Jensen Button. Not interested in what he looked like when he was 22. Let's look at Sebastian Vettel actually spinning. That's my concern. But yes, all ready to go, I think. For qualifying, I'll go to the watch on screen in just a second because I'll just need to get it all set up. So bear with me if I start chuntering nonsense and start singing randomly. It's something I've been doing all day, which is, I think it's fair to say, bizarre, quite frankly. I don't know what is going on in my head today. It's very weird. I'm just excited to do this, genuinely. I'm not just saying that either. I've been very much looking forward to doing these again. So I might have to rejig that on the main screen, but we shall see how we go. So I'll probably have to have a rejig of all of this on screen. So bear with me when we head over to the watch on screen in just a moment, but we will see how we go. Today marks 50 years since Jochen Rindt lost his life at Monza. He is the only posthumous drivers' world champion. That was the Jochen Rindt thing before, of course. Such a good. How many championships could he have gone on and have won? I think he was I watched a documentary on it as well, but I think Jackie Stewart saying he was a true gentleman, lovely guy, very close with a lot of the drivers. So big loss to Formula One at the time, and still is, of course. And that's a first and only posthumous world champion. It's a title, but it's not a title you want anybody to have, is it? So yeah, Jochen Rindt, definitely worth, if you don't know much about him, definitely worth having a read up. Some great documentaries out there as well. Very, very good world champion. So I'm going to go to the watch on screen. And whilst I'm doing it, I can talk. You'll see some of it on here. It is not what I wanted it to be. It's all got a bit crazy, so bear with me setting this one up. But thank you very much, I should say, to Cranky Yankee. You will probably know who he is, for allowing me to use the live timing website. Massively appreciate that. Hugely. So yes, do you know, I'm going to say, I'll go back to the screen. I'm going to set it up in the studio mode because I want to say this super quickly. It's appalling how little knowledge I have of not new F1 YouTubers, because I don't think that we're looking at necessarily new YouTubers when I say this, but how little I watch in the way of YouTube for Formula One. And I've only just discovered Cranky Yankee. You can all shout at me later if you want. I don't mind. But yeah, I think that's absolutely atrocious, quite frankly. I'm trying to think, there was somebody else as well that I discovered the other day. Not the other day, the other week. Josh Ravel, I think, as well. So I feel quite quite out of order at the moment. I need to start watching a bit more F1 YouTube, and I'm sure there's loads of people. If you're watching this afterwards or want to let me know over on social media of some other YouTubers I should be watching F1 wise, please do, because I feel one of my big things was about making or having the F1 word kind of centre of the community, and I just feel like I've not been involving enough people that I should be involving, quite frankly. So yes, please do let me know what is going on and who else there is out there, because I'm sure there are loads of them, absolutely loads of them. So yes, let's hope that this is all going to work. I'm going to have to play around. So we'll head over to the screen. And so, like I said, live timing from Cranky Yankee. No race footage and all of that jazz. What I've done, or tried to do, because it's quite small text. If you've seen the website, it's quite small text. So what I've done is I've done a top 14, and then I've done, I think it's 7th down to 20th. So I'll flick between them as we go through the session so that you can see the top of the bottom. Obviously, the first sessions, we're going to be concentrating on the bottom anyway, and then the midfield. So I'll try and do that so that everybody gets, and I will start scroll out in a moment. So I'm going to get my timer set up. But yes, that is what we will do. Don't worry about it. It's what we will do. I will make sure that I keep you updated as well. I'm going to try not to do my really rubbish Crofty impression. if you've watched the Watchalongs before, I do have a habit of going a little bit, it's lights out and away we go. And I'm not doing that this year. So we're going to have a nice sit and a chat about qualifying as it goes on. So bear with me. There you go. Perspective F1, apparently. There's a lot of YouTube channels out there that I just didn't realise there were. Obviously, there's Dan and Aldas and Stuart as well, Chainbear, Arav, and all of that I knew about. But then I found Josh Ravel and I found Cranky Yankee, and I was sort of like, oh my god, there's loads. They're not like new starters. They're not like sort of smaller channels either, are they? They're pretty big. I think Josh has, in fact, congratulations. I don't think he's watching, but congratulations to Josh for smashing that 100k barrier last night. Welcome to the club, I suppose I should be saying. But yeah, congratulations to him for that absolutely amazing achievement. And by the way, my 100k plaque arrives on Monday, so there will be an unboxing video. Might do a room tour if it's ready to go by then. If not, then I won't. But we've got cars on track. Charles Leclerc, Romain Grosjean, Sebastian Vettel, K-Mag, Kimi Raikkonen, George Russell, Nicholas Latifi, and Antonio Giovinazzi all out there ready to go. I think Chaz is coming back, isn't he, Astro? I think Dan told me last Sunday he was on his way back, so it'll be good to see Chaz back. Obviously, a lot going on personally for him, bless him, but always chatted to him a lot, tried to be there for him, so yeah. Charles Leclerc just saying something about Delta time with Vettel not being on the limit, so Charles Leclerc has out-qualified Vettel 5-2 this season, according to the old on-screen stats. Yeah, top 14. I was just double checking there. It is 14 that we've got there. So, yes, awesome stuff. Some sector times on there as well, which I didn't realise would be on there, but they are. So there we go. And we'll keep an eye on it all. And K-Mag at the minute. He's going to be one of the first to get a lap in by the look. I don't know if Leclerc was first out. That's an intriguing one. Everybody else still in the garage. So we've got a handful of cars out there, which could be interesting. If you're watching on mobile as well, by the way, I know that the text on the timing is quite small, but that's why I've got the scroll at the bottom, just so that you've at least got a running order. I know not everyone watches on TVs and laptops and whatnot, so yes, you should do a James Allen. Go, says Max. I miss James Allen. Really, really liked him as a commentator. Magnussen, purple in the middle sector, so I think he's going to be first. Across the line is K-Mag. Let's see. Over the line, he will go... He does go fastest, 121.6. Bad from K-Mag. Latifi, Giovinazzi going ahead of Raikkonen there. Grosjean fastest. Flying through, as you would expect from Romain Grosjean. Of course, the fastest. What am I talking about? Absolutely. George Russell, not bad at all there. 121.587. 0.6 off Leclerc. Might be I think they're going with a toe. They're definitely going with a toe, but 120.9 from Leclerc. Not bad. Kiki says top 3 F1 word, F1/E in chat. I don't know about me being ahead of Chamber at all. I don't think that this channel is not where it was a year ago. It will be going back that way, don't worry, but it's certainly not where it was a year ago. So bear with me on that. I don't know why that's done that. So Leclerc's time's been deleted for track limits. That's something else to look out for today. It's the old track limits. So essentially, I think it's go off track at all and you are absolutely done. Is effectively what we're having here. So yeah. We're going to see a lot. We're going to see a lot of that today. It's going to be track limits, tow, and what else? Probably maximum lap time breaches. Everybody on track, so we can get some traffic now. I don't think your Bottas's and your Hamiltons are going to be fighting for too much of a tow. They should get through anyway, but we're going to see a lot of squabbling, I think, between, well, Ferraris are going to, the Ferrari engine cars are going to be there, aren't they? Absolutely. So we'll see. See how that goes. I'm going to keep an eye on traffic as best I can. There's a track map on TV at the minute, so we'll keep an eye on that. And there's a huge gaggle of cars, I think, led by Bottas. That's going to be interesting. We're going to watch Leclerc now going wide at the Parabolica. This lap time deleted. Oh, only just going over the line as well. That is... So they are properly policing it then, which is great. If you go off the grey bit, you are getting your time deleted. That's what we need. And I don't know about the following lap time. I thought they were doing that, but maybe that's one of the changes they've made. We'll see. It's got Vettel fastest 1:21.1 at the moment, but the Mercedes boys are out there now, and I think that's going to change very quickly. Like I said, keep an eye on McLaren today. They could be quite mega. They could be quite mega. KAB says, it stresses me out when cars haven't set a time and the session keeps ticking away. I can imagine it's quite stressful as a team boss, but they get it down, don't they? Perfectly. Absolutely perfectly every single time. So that is it's quite an achievement that they just time things to the last second. It's so good. What have we got? Bottas, we're watching him on TV at the minute, coming through. Like I said earlier, big weekend. Big weekend. Needs this one, Bottas. So pole position would be great. Needs to get... The problem is, maybe not to the same extent as Spa, but, you know, there's going to be quite a run to turn one, and the slipstream could be, you know, pole position actually might not be the best place to be in the end. So, yeah. That could be interesting tomorrow. Sainz goes second, only 0.3 off Bottas. Of course, no, I was going to say, when Mercedes turn it up, that gap will grow, but of course they can't turn it up. This is all they've got. But they are on the medium tyres. So Mercedes, half a second quicker than Perez, who goes third, are on the medium tyres. Everybody else on the softs, and of course I don't need to use the mediums in this session. Albon 8th. What did he do versus Max? He's down to 12th. He's about 0.6 off his teammate in the end there. But at the minute, we're losing Giovinazzi, Raikkonen, Latifi, Leclerc, and Magnussen. Of course, Magnussen and Leclerc's time's being deleted. So they must get their lap in now. Absolutely needed. Flying Tiger says ominous in chat. Yeah, very ominous. Very ominous. That's on the mediums. I think there's about... Getting on for half a second, I think, between the soft and the medium. Gasly's lap time deleted as well, so he drops into the drop zone, down to 18th, no time on the board. Going to have to get these laps in. Track records was set by Kimi Raikkonen, by the way. I think that's going to go today. It's the race tomorrow is going to be... Maybe time that race. If you've got nothing better to do. If it ends up being a bit dull, time that race, because it could be one of the quickest you've ever had. Yeah, well off from Pierre Gasly there at the Parabolica, or at Parabolica. Charles Leclerc, he's out there ready for a lap. Yeah, I agree, Matthew. I think it will get broken. The lap time, and you know, I'm not gonna say it. Slate Mercedes if you want, but I won't be slating them. I'll slate those that aren't. performing, basically. Traffic down that straight towards Parabolica. 8 minutes to go we're coming up to, so these drivers are going to get some laps in. Charles Leclerc. We're keeping an eye on Leclerc. We'll keep an eye on Magnussen and Gasly as well, and Stroll. I think Stroll's time's been deleted, or isn't quick enough at least. No, his time's still there on the timing screen. No, it has. It has been deleted. There you go. Finally. I was going to say, come on, timing screen. Official F1 timing always confuses me. But here goes Leclerc then, down to turn 1. I'd like an onboard. Wouldn't mind the onboard of Leclerc. See what that Ferrari's handling like. The drivers haven't been overly complimentary about the car this weekend again, which isn't a great surprise, I'd imagine. So tyres this weekend, Kiki, are the 2, 3 and 4. So I think they're the same as Belgium. Stroll, Leclerc, Magnussen and Gasly all lost their tyres. So watch Leclerc. We're on board now on the run to Ascari. But that's handling like. It'd be fascinating to see a side-by-side Leclerc and, say, Hamilton or Bottas and just see the difference between the Mercedes and Ferrari in terms of handling. Not horrific through Ascari. Stroll goes 7th, so his time at the moment stands. So that moves him up to 7th place, 1:20.4. Vettel is driver at risk, but of course he'll go do another lap. Raikkonen gets through to 14th. Grosjean now in 15th. Probably ought to be looking at the timing screen, really. See where that gets us. Over the line, Leclerc, 1:20.6. Only 11th in the end. Not great. Not great at all. I will play about with the live timing in the week, by the way. Make sure it's set up properly. A bit of a rush job. Massive shout out to Bloomy last night. I think we were working till about 10:30, trying to get all this set up. So thank you to him for that. So if I keep moving things around, just bear with me. I'll get it all sorted for next weekend properly. We're, last minute call. Ocon complaining of a dangerous move by a Red Bull by the look of it, maybe. That's the one he's behind. Now this is Stroll. This was deleted. This is deleted time earlier. Oh, they are really... Yeah, he is over that white line. This is what we wanted. Proper track limits being enforced. Wait for this dangerous move, but yeah, not going to show a replay, I don't think. So, everybody now has a lap time, I believe. Yes, they do, all 20. So your bottom 5, as you can see there, are Grosjean, Vettel, Giovinazzi, Russell and Latifi. So drivers that desperately need a lap. I don't think we'd be massively surprised to see Williams drop out or the Alphas, but drivers that need a lap. Sebastian Vettel and Alexander Albon, he's a lot lower than... Also Esteban Ocon down in 12th place. Quite surprising, but look at that gap. There's nothing. Obviously the Mercedes are still clearly half a second clear at the front at the moment, but just looking through there, Perez on a 1:20.0 down to a 1:20.6, Leclerc in 11th, and then behind that there's nothing between them either. It is so close behind those Mercedes boys, isn't it? So yeah, we'll see, but I think Vettel needs a lap. Otherwise I jinxed him, didn't I, in the pre-show thing? That's what's happened. It always happens. And then Alex Albon at 15th place needs a lap as well. Yeah, 1.5 seconds off the Mercs. Nice fresh set of softs, see what they can do. 1:19.1 is the track record by Kimi. 4/10 off that in Q1, so that should go, definitely. Solid Snake Oil says they're being rather strict with the track limits on the last turn. Yeah, I think they've just kind of got to a point where they've had enough of it. Drivers taking advantage of that, and I know that drivers have been running wide at corners to gain time and straight lining what they can to try and gain time, but the FIA are definitely cracking down at this weekend. It's kind of good to see, but I know the white lines define the track, but I think is there a curb out there on Parabolica? That might be why, but I kind of think the rule as long as part of your car is touching the curb, I think kind of was a little bit fairer. But at the same time, I do like them being strict with it because it means that it might mix things up because somebody goes just slightly wide out that final corner, if you get what I mean. So I think, yeah, they're strict, but it's needed. And here we go. Everybody pouring out of the garages. Who's Charles Leclerc letting a few people out? After you, mate. Off you go. This is where it's going to get crazy. 20 cars, I'd imagine, heading out on track. Science isn't out there yet, so we're going to get, I think everybody will go out in the end. So we might get two groups here. So we've got a big group going out of, it looks like Latifi, Russell, Giovinazzi, Vettel, Grosjean, Albon, Raikkonen, Magnussen, Ocon, Leclerc, Fiat, Ricciardo, Gasly. And then I think we're going to get the next lot, which will be Perez, Sainz, Verstappen, Norris and Stroll. Indeed, that's what it looks like. But people already racing. Like the M25 at 7 a.m, says Matthew Peters. Absolutely. Let them race, says Salty England. Let them race. Let them race. Yes. We need the stewards there to be referee, but we don't need everything being penalised. But I like the... I tell you what I do like, actually, just before they get to their laps. In races now we have the black and white flag. Kind of like, that was out of order, don't do it again. I like that because it's like a yellow card and then penalty. But sometimes there's got to be penalties, and I think we're going to see some today. So I feel for poor Dan at F1/E Reviews. He'll be doing his post-qualifying review. Definitely check out his channel. I think most of you will be subscribed. So please do go check his channel out. Awesome lad. Very good friend as well. But he'll do his qualifying reviews. We sat there all night like, my grid's out of date. We've already got it down to Parabolica. We've got Raikkonen, Renault up there fighting over position, almost contact. We've got three abreast at the back. Raikkonen practically stopping. You've got a Williams flying around the outside of everyone, which is George Russell, who's now going to try it up the inside of an Alpha. What an absolute mess this already is. And there's some good... They're racing to turn one. They're actually racing to turn one. This is... This is it. We talk about reverse grid qualifying races. This is it. This is a race. And that's Russell compromised immediately. Vettel's compromised. And I think we're going to lose Vettel here from qualifying. He's been compromised massively. They are racing. Oh! That is really dangerous. Is that Ocon? That is really silly through. Is it Curva Grande? Moving like that. Kimi Raikkonen trying to get by. I think we're going to lose a lot of cars here that maybe had the pace to get out because they're being absolutely ridiculous. Remember, best drivers in the world. No purple sexy times, as Crofty's pointing out, because nobody's going quicker because they're all racing and holding each other up. Absolutely crazy. So that'll be a penalty, I think, for Ocon. I can see that coming. Fastest laps or not. There's going to be loads of penalties after this. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. The best drivers in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Kimi Raikkonen stopping. Because there's no point. I think, what can Vettel do? Vettel's the one to watch here. He could be out in Q1. So Hamilton goes fastest on a 1:19.5. That's not what we're watching. We've lost Latifi. Nobody's improving. And Sebastian Vettel pits. Sebastian Vettel is out in Q1 with Latifi, Russell, Giovinazzi and Romain Grosjean. Unless somebody puts in a stonking lap, which I don't think they are. Alex Albon is just going to sneak through. Fiat goes 6th. Gasly 5th. Albon stays in 15th. That's it. So that's your bottom 5. We have lost Latifi, Russell, Giovinazzi, Vettel, and Romain Grosjean. What an absolute... I need to get a Garrett Salah for the beat button, but, you know... Wow. I think that there's going to be a lot of penalties after that, because that was... Vettel complaining about the Alphas overtaking. It was, if you're not watching on TV, I'm sure a lot of you are because I watch along, obviously, but if you're not, but you had everybody on that first, because I talked about the first pack, didn't I, and then the second pack, but that first pack were all racing down the straight to the Parabolica and then down the start-finish straight. So overtakes happening in turn 1. People were locking up and going in too deep, which was holding up people behind them. You had Ocon blocking through Curva Grande, which is hugely dangerous anyway. You've got absolute mess. Nobody improved on that lap out of those that were in that gaggle. But Gasly up to 5th and Kvyat up to 7th showed there was still pace on track. That was silly. That was silly from these epic drivers. You'd kind of let it slide a little bit, but we had this a year ago, didn't we? At the end of the day. Yeah, from a racing point of view, it was great fun. It was great fun watching the cars battling like that. Absolutely was. So your fastest times from that session, no great surprise that Mercedes are looking very, very good once again. Lewis Hamilton fastest on a 1:19.5, 1:19.7 for Valtteri Bottas. Couple of tenths between those two. Third place, Sergio Perez, half a second slower. Carlos Sainz in 4th. Just watching Ocon Raikkonen here. Raikkonen will be swearing a lot. Yes, he is. So coming through, I'm sure that's Curva Grande. It is indeed. Raikkonen goes to the outside, and Ocon just comes across to block him. I think Ocon's in trouble there. But anyway, Carlos Sainz 4th, just behind Sergio Perez. 5th, Pierre Gasly. Watching Vettel now through turn 1 and 2. Just held up by the Williams. Yeah, he was just caught out by the Williams. You can't blame Russell for that. He's not got the quickest car as it is, poor guy. But yeah, that's a shame. And that's how you do it. Vettel to the outside. No worries. Past him. No blocking. That was silly from Ocon. That really was. I know they're there to race, and they're racing for... and Grosjean. That's why he didn't improve. Really wide out of Parabolica. That cost him some time. And punches a steering wheel. Gasly in 5th place, I was saying. Kevin Magnussen? Max Verstappen in 6th place. 1:20.1. Nearly 7 tenths off the pace of Hamilton. 7th, Daniel Kvyat. 8th, Lando Norris. And 9th, Lance Stroll. 10th for Charles Leclerc. 9 tenths within a second of the Mercedes boys. So not awful from him. Daniel Ricciardo in 11th. Esteban Ocon in 12th. Kevin Magnussen in 13th place. 1.3 off the fastest time. 14th for Raikkonen. 15th for Alex Albon. He got through by, what is that? 35 thousandths, 300ths of a second. So, yeah, very lucky there that Grosjean made his mistake. Just showing the replay of the queue. I'll carry on in a moment, just having a look at that. It's a Williams of Russell comes storming round the outside of Parabolica when everyone's kind of backing up in the queue. And then there's a race down to turn 1. Madness. Romain Grosjean, 16th place. He is out. 1:21.1. Made a mistake on his lap, so that was that for him. Again, very lucky for Albon that he didn't improve. Sebastian Vettel, 17th and out. I jinxed him in the pre-show. Apologies to Vettel fans. Massive apologies. Giovinazzi 18th, Russell 19th, and Nicholas Latifi in 20th place. Latifi a couple of tenths off his teammate and 2.2 seconds separating the field. So next up, battle for Q3. Just watching Raikkonen here. It all started. It was all on that run to Parabolica. So Raikkonen's kind of behind, I think is that Latifi and Ocon? And they're just effectively getting in each other's way, almost contact. They went down to turn 1. Raikkonen went for a move to the outside of turn 1, which is understandable. And it's just, it's so messy. If we see that tomorrow in the race, that's the greatest thing ever. We're watching some proper epic racing, but it's qualifying. And all they've done is compromise each other. Bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Brune Chandlock just looking at the sky pad at Charles Leclerc, saying he's unlucky. Have a look. Oh, it's the tiniest, isn't it? Tiniest of... over the line is over the line. Unless it's a game involving Sheffield United, over the line means over the line in football, so over the line in Formula 1. That one's for Ellie. Probably still seething about that goal that never happened, that should have been, but yeah, never mind. And listen to Karun. I just don't understand sometimes. I really don't. George Russell saying over team radio, come on, guys, we need to be the ones capitalising on these F-ups, not the ones involved in these F-ups. So, yeah, that's a good point, actually. That was a great opportunity for you Williams boys, wasn't it? And maybe some alphas to gain some positions in quali. I'll say it needs to be addressed for next year, but I said that last year and it wasn't really. So, there you go. Let's get ready for Q2 then. Very much looking forward to this one now. 15 minutes for Q... I think it's 15 minutes, isn't it, for Q2? Yeah. I've got it written down. I do forget these things, as crazy as it sounds. See what happens. See if we go again. We are green for Q2. The battle for Q3 in that top 10 shootout. And it's very close as well. As I said, it's very close between them all. So this could be crazy. But I think we're going to get in a situation, aren't we, next in the next session where somebody's not going to get to the line. It's going to cost them the chance. And I understand it. They want to be the slipstream. They want to be in the best position to qualify well. But not to do it like that. Absolutely crazy. I think there will be some investigations after that. Maybe some penalties as well. We will see. Make sure you're following on Twitter if you're interested, and I will, I'll keep you updated over there. Definitely. AR saying most a 10-second penalty, probably a 5-second. What happened to Vettel from M2 podcast? Basically got caught out in all the chaotic traffic and all of that. So, yes. Got caught out in that one behind a Williams. I don't blame the Williams for that one. It was just everything going on. You had an Alfa and a Renault scrapping stupidly ahead. So, yeah. Definitely. The dude says I'm not watching live. I'll try and keep you updated, mate, as best I can. Try not to be too crofty, but I'm sure when we get to Q3, I'll start jumping around like an idiot. RC suggesting that one-shot quali is probably a good idea. I think there's a few people sat watching and going, just send them out one at a time if we're going to do this around Monza. Absolute madness. Definitely watch the highlights later if you're not watching live. Highly recommended. People still somehow finding the ability to blame Lewis Hamilton for the incident in FP3, which is hilarious to me. But anyway. Who have I got for pole? I didn't answer that, did I, Ben? Hamilton for pole, I think. Highlights on Channel 4, I believe, later on tonight in the UK. For those asking, we've got some laps now. Here we go. Bottas is out there. Hamilton as well. We're going to see on the soft tyre, interestingly enough. So they are new softs as well. That's a surprise. I thought they might try and get through on the mediums at least, but maybe they feel having no softs at the start. Maybe it's just too close. That was very tongue-in-cheek. I apologise. But yeah, no, that very surprised to them on the softs, actually. In fact, everybody on the soft tyres. So there you go. Hamilton purple in the first sector. By a 10th-ish from his teammate. Into Ascari. Lovely from board. That car looks so good on board, that Mercedes, doesn't it? Through Ascari, beautifully done. Just stick to the track. What's the cliche? Like it's on rails or something like that. That's what it looks like. Very, very nice indeed. They've done a cracking job again, Mercedes. Let's see if anybody can take it to them. Probably in 22 now, but crazy. Over the line, 119.417 for Bottas. What can Hamilton do? Should be quite close between the two of them. It is not. It's a 119.0. Hamilton, 0.3 quicker than his teammate, 0.6 quicker than Verstappen, who moves into third place. Engine mode ban. Remember that. Over the line goes Sainz on a 119.7 ahead of Max Verstappen. That's a surprise. Only a few hundredths in it, but Sainz up there in P3. Are McLaren in the fight here for a second row start? Maybe starting right behind those Mercedes boys. Good stuff from McLaren. Gasly up in 6th again. Stroll goes 7th. Where's the race? Perez goes 3rd. Sorry, I was going to say, where's the racing point pace gone? There it is. P3, 6/10 off the Mercedes. There you go. Everyone getting across the line. See what Raikkonen does through Parabolica. Keeps his wheels on the the track. Doesn't want his time deleted. Last 122.3 or 15th rather. There you go. Kvyat, Ocon, Leclerc, Magnussen and Raikkonen currently in the drop zone after that first round of whatevers. This first round of laps. Albon in 10th place is right on the bubble, but there's nothing in it. If he improves by a 10th, he's up to 8th. A couple of tenths and he's up in 6th. So, yeah, but Hamilton, 119.0. 3 tenths clear of Bottas. He's just... It is a cliche, but it does feel like he's on another level this season, doesn't it? It just feel after the first race in Austria, I thought, hang on a minute, maybe are we going to have a year where perhaps he struggles a little bit? We see them from time to time. It's been a while. 2016 was probably the last one, to be fair. But yeah, maybe we'll see a chance for Bottas this year. But ever since Styria, he's just had Bottas in his pocket, hasn't he, on a Sunday? So it feels like he's on another level. So there you go, 3 tenths clear of his teammates. Sainz, I'm really impressed with Carlos Sainz, 4th place. That Renault power unit has definitely come on leaps and bounds over the last few years. Not even a year, is it? Well, they've been saying for a long time, haven't they, that 1,000 horsepower they claimed the other winter. They've been claiming for a while they've got the power, they just can't get the car to work. But they've definitely appeared to have the power sorted, and yeah, that McLaren next year with a Mercedes engine in it is going to be very, very strong indeed. That chat is not updated. I've just realised, apologies, that should be the live chat on screen. I'm going to put it there so you could all say hi to anybody watching later. Be nice. There we go. Get the chat sorted there. That was supposed to be there, so apologies. Didn't notice that one. Astro says, concentrate on Formula 1. Well, Formula 1.5 is basically, I said this the other day on Twitter, didn't I? I don't think we should call it Formula 1.5 or the midfield anymore, because it's essentially Mercedes and then everybody else, really. Yeah. Crazy stuff. Wazza wants to know why the time chart is not on 1 to 4. I'm supposed to be switching between them. Apology. It's just the text is really small when I put all 20 on Wazza, so I've tried to do 1:14 and 1 to 14, then 7 to 20, so there's 14 on each page. But trying to concentrate on those first 2 sessions. But I'll put the top 14 up for now, and then when we get sort of with a few minutes to go, we'll go back to the other one to see who drops out. So yeah, apologies. I meant to change it. That's my fault. But thank you for pointing that one out. Do we think McLaren will suffer from overheating next year? They had that problem, didn't they? Last winter or winter before. So maybe, I don't know. I think because Mercedes have had their problems, haven't they, with that high temperatures and whatnot. So maybe we'll find out in testing. Only 3 days of testing. I don't know if you caught that news. I suppose with so little changing in terms of the cars, there's absolutely no point in running anymore. But I'll be live for all 3 days. Once again, don't worry. I'll be sat in my room watching testing and telling you all that driver A has turned a corner really, really slowly. We enjoy the testing Watchalong. So yes, they will be back next year, but only 3 days. Only 3 days. Hamilton, Bottas, Perez, Sainz, Verstappen, Gasly, Stroll, Norris, Ricciardo, Albon in your top 10. As you can see there, then it's Kvyat, Ocon, Leclerc, Magnussen, Raikkonen, and then drop out Grosjean. We've already lost, Grosjean, Vettel, Giovinazzi, Russell and Latifi. What do we need to improve? So, Kvyat is a 10th off P10. So, again, Albon needs a lap. Needs a lap indeed. And actually, Ocon's not that far behind either. Leclerc, he's about 7 tenths off getting out of Q2. You know, I said earlier that I feel like Ferrari have improved this weekend. It's not by much if they have. Yeah, they need more than a toe, don't they? Can you set it up so it switches automatically? Do you know what, Astro? I had a look for a plugin. OBS don't do that. They don't let you do like what they call a slideshow. So I can't do it that way, which is ridiculous. So, yeah, Unfortunately, I can't. So it's just I'll just have to keep flicking for now. But I'm going to play around with it next week anyway. So let's see what we can do. Formula almost, says Flying Tiger. That's a good idea. Formula almost. Formula not quite there, but yeah, still Formula 1. And people say, remove Mercedes from the championship. It'd be absolutely insane, but for the others to catch up would be great. We'll see. Feel a bit sorry for Gio. Home racing, disappointing quality result. Reckon he's underrated. Look, maybe. His crash helmet design this weekend is beautiful. Absolutely love that. Seb just didn't have the pace question mark, says old boy dog. He was, I think, partly. I don't think he would have been much higher. He should have got through Q1, but he got caught up in what was the most bizarre battling through the first few corners of his flying lap with about 4 cars. I think Raikkonen knock on in front, and then he got caught up behind Russell. So he's got caught up in that mess that we were all expecting, I'm afraid. So probably would have got through had he been able to deliver a lap, but it was pretty much over by turn 1 for him. So yeah, out he goes. But the rough, I think, probably some relief in some ways that Tifosi aren't at Monza, as people keep saying for Ferrari. Just waiting now. 4 minutes and 24 to go, 23 to go. And we'll see what we're going to get again. I assume we're just going to have everybody out together and then utter chaos. Utter chaos. No, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it's Seb's mistake. I'd just say that he was unlucky, and Russell was unlucky as well with the thing going on with Raikkonen and Ocon. But at the same time, Russell did go flying around the outside of Parabolica, so he's maybe brought that on himself a little bit. But yeah, I don't think it was. I think the only driver from that first session that I am absolutely almost certain will get some kind of penalty is Esteban Ocon. But we'll see. There could be more. There could be more. Here we go. So the two Mercedes straight out on track. Hamilton behind Bottas. I think we'll see what tyres are on in a moment. And then it is the Ferrari of Leclerc and then everybody else. There we go. They're all just sat there waiting for somebody to blink first. And here we go. 3 minutes and 20 to go. This could be utter chaos. Deep breath. See where we end up. So it's about making some space on this lap, but still trying to make sure that you can get some kind of tow. Is that everybody out there? I think all but Gasly. So Gasly, here he comes now. There should be plenty of time to get through. So they've learned from last year in that respect. They've not left it quite so late. But yeah. Let's see what happens. I don't know, fewer cars, in theory, you'd say less chaos, but I'd be very surprised if we don't get utter chaos in this one. Max says, place your bets. Who gets held up the most? Where are they on the track map? Looks could end up being an AlphaTauri here. Are the Renaults line? They are. I think the Renaults are together, so they're going to slipstream each other, which kind of it sort of makes sense. But then your lead driver, which is Daniel, whoever it is Daniel Ricciardo, isn't going to get any tow, and he's P9, and the tow is so powerful. So here we go. 1 minute 45 to go. The Renaults are coming through to start their laps. Ricciardo, no tow. Ocon's going to get some sort of tow, not a massive one, but he'll get something down there. We'll see what Danny Rick can do. No tow. So to Crofty there talking about how he's not got a tow as well. It's sort of, you'd think he'd want to be somewhere, wouldn't you? But it doesn't look at the moment, from what we're seeing, that it's quite as chaotic as Q1. But everyone's getting through to do their laps, so that's a good sign. We'll go to the other screen now because we want to see who is 7th really to 10th. And that's Ricciardo really wide out of that chicane, the second chicane. And that's probably just cost him his chance of improving. Indeed, he's backed off. And I assume he'll just let his teammate go. He does indeed. It was frustrating for Danny Rick. He might be in trouble here. giving his teammate the toe and then makes a mistake as well. Ocon sector times. Not waiting for... He's a little bit slower than Albon, so I don't think Ocon's quite doing enough here to get through. Raikkonen's on personal best sectors for the first two. Purple's for Mercedes, boys. They're working on that one. McLaren boys doing the same. Not purple, but personal best. I don't think Ocon's going to get through here. It's not been a great lap. 120.064 to get through. He goes over the line nowhere near. 3/10 off. He's staying 12th. He can do another lap, but obviously he's going to need his charge with that. So yellow flags out there for something. So we'll keep an eye out on that. See what happens. Raikkonen goes up to 14th place. Bottas goes fastest. That's a good sign. That is the checkered flag. Stroll goes 7th. Alexander Albon stays 10th and doesn't massively improve. What's going on here? So I'm waiting to see what Kvyat can do. What's Kvyat doing out there? Not a great middle sector, but he did do a personal best first. Leclerc's coming through, stays 13th, 120.2. Kvyat and Gasly, both personal best first sectors. Slower middle sectors. Kvyat doesn't improve. I think Albon's going to survive again here by the skin of his teeth. Kvyat stays 11th. Gasly jumps up to 6th. That was Magnussen again making a mistake in his final run on Q2. Down in 15th place. So we've lost Daniel Kvyat, Esteban Ocon, Charles Leclerc, Kimi Raikkonen, and Kevin Magnussen. That's 13th and 17th for Ferrari. At the minute, obviously penalties could be applied. Leclerc saying on team radio best he could do. Ocon 12th. Not that far off. Q3, but Albon just scraping through by a 10th of a second over Daniel Kvyat. Danny Rick made a mistake, so he'll be happy to be 9th. I'm happy to see him 9th. Actually, I think he's got a great chance of being up there somewhere in Q3. But yeah, Kvyat, Ocon, Leclerc, Raikkonen, and Magnussen all out in Q2. Any surprises? I think we kind of expected, didn't we, to see Ferrari down there. So, yeah. Yeah. I don't know what to say about Ferrari, but that's your bottom. So that's your eliminated drivers: Latifi, Russell, Giovinazzi, Vettel, Grosjean, Magnussen, Raikkonen, Leclerc, Ocon, Kvyat, Albon, Ricciardo, Norris, and Stroll. And then reluctantly, your top 10, Bottas, or your top 14 really, isn't it? Bottas fastest, Hamilton a 10th of a second behind, Sainz in 3rd place. 4th is Perez, 5th is Verstappen, 6th is Gasly, 7th is Stroll, 8th is Norris, 9th is Ricciardo, and 10th is Alexander Albon, just scraping through. Shouting at me in chat will get you nowhere. That's all I'm going to say on that one. So you can stop that. Definitely. I'm flicking between timing screens as we need to. The bits you need to see who is dropping out of Q2. We can leave it on the top 10 though, or the top 14 for the rest of this session. It is a top 10 shootout, which is awesome stuff. I think I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to go with Mercedes for pole here. This is it's going to be close. It's going to be so close. It's not close at all, is it? Bottas, like I say, a 10th of Hamilton, but then it's 7 tenths between Carlos Sainz and Valtteri Bottas fastest. So, yeah. Interesting. This engine mode ban was going to close things up, and I don't think it has at all in the end, and they could even be quicker in a race tomorrow. We'll see. Race is a whole other day. You never know what's going to happen. There's no rain forecast, unfortunately. Is a shame. I think it's going to pee it down that evening and probably going to rain as well on Monday, but that's a bit too late for us, so we'll see how we go. People shocked by my... it's all right. I thought caps lock had been left on. I was like, don't shout at me in chat, how dare you. I don't know what to say really about Mercedes, because we do it on the race reaction. It's kind of like, what can you say about, for example, Hamilton when he wins a race so dominantly, or when Bottas gets a win done? It's like, yeah, you run out of things to say, don't you? But I think the big story at the moment is I think surprise pace of McLaren. They showed some good stuff in practice, but even though they've got the Renault power unit, I didn't come into this weekend expecting to see Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris up there anywhere. I didn't think we were going to see that pace. So really great to see them there. And I think Racing Point needs to have some speed as well. They were one of the big shocks for me in Belgium with the lack of pace they had. So, and some pointing out after that stream actually in the comments that maybe they just don't understand the car yet and they're still trying to get to grips with it because it is effectively a copy and paste, isn't it? So there you go. Is that you get? Look, I'm not going to read it. I'm going to go and check because that's the sort of thing I'll believe and get excited about. But no, we'll see. I think essentially qualifying. We had a qualifying race, didn't we, for that first session? That's exactly what it was in the end. Madness, utter madness. If you didn't catch it, definitely watch the highlights tonight. I'm sure they'll go up on YouTube. I think they do YouTube highlights, don't they, of qualifying on the official F1 YouTube. So definitely check that one out because it was insert descriptive word here, quite frankly. It was just one of those sessions. But we're getting ready now for Q3. Everybody, by the way, if you're wondering, has qualified on the soft. So the entire top 10 in tomorrow's race will be starting on the soft tyres. So no mixed up strategy, no alternate strategies. And that's a surprise. I thought Mercedes, with the cushion they had, might try something, but it could just be a case that they feel that the soft tyre is the better race tyre tomorrow to start on. But yeah, could be to do with that run to turn 1 as well. Better all round, says Solid Snake Oil. Absolutely. Bottas with a shocker. I'm surprised he got that. I'm surprised he got that. Bottas getting towed for Q3. We'll see. Is it his turn? Give Hamilton a... Did he give Hamilton a tow in Q2? Interesting. I'll keep an eye on that when they come out of the pits because that's a very good point. Who are Mercedes going to give that tow to? Bottas kind of needs it, doesn't he, for the championship? But I don't know whose turn it is. I don't know if anybody got one in Spa or if they even bother with that Mercedes. No, Q3 hasn't ended. It's just that won't turn off unless I close the app. Let's see if we can get rid of that for a second. There you go. I'll reopen it in a minute, but yeah. Waiting for Q3, but we've lost, if you are just tuning in, so far we've lost Kvyat, Ocon, Leclerc, Raikkonen, Magnussen, Grosjean, Vettel, Giovinazzi, Russell and Latifi. So your top 10, obviously Bottas, Hamilton, Sainz, Perez, Verstappen, Gasly, Stroll, Norris, Ricciardo and Alexander Albon. Top 10. I said it earlier, didn't I? I want to see Albon right behind Verstappen in Q3. I want to see that because I want to see what he can do starting, I suppose, in position. We've seen what he can do if he qualifies in the midfield. He's good at overtaking and he likes to try and come back. That's great. But I want to see what he can do in a position you would expect Red Bull to be in, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say there. So I'd like to see him right up there. We are green, by the way. Timer should be on in just a second. Here we go. We are away. I'm still... I think Hamilton for pole. Let me know what you think in chat. I think Hamilton for pole. But Bottas turned that around in Q2. I know it's only Q2, but I was worried when Hamilton went across the line 3/10 quicker. I thought, oh dear, this is going to be a bad day for Valtteri. But a bad day for Valtteri is second on the grid. That's crazy, isn't it? But yeah, I think he's got a shot of pole, but Hamilton just always seems to find that little bit extra, doesn't he, in Q3? So everyone going out. It should be, I don't know if we get any fighting for toes in this first set of runs. I think we will for the second set, the final runs, if you will. On board with Carlos Sainz. Not anymore, we're not. That's a shame. I was enjoying that. So I don't... Just watching the sector times there, there's no... My track map's not working, which is annoying. Not using the official F1 one, I think, if it's going to keep doing that. But I don't think Bottas is, unless he's going to get the toe in Q3 in the second runs. No, Bottas is the first car. So Bottas hasn't got a toe from anybody, and I don't think Hamilton's going to get... No, he's not. He's too far behind his teammates, so he's not going to get a toe either. So Mercedes maybe just deciding best thing to do is not to give either driver the toe, and then you've not got any arguments in the team. But watching Bottas, again, just that car is just so... Yeah. So 26.7 for Bottas in the first sector. That is purple. 26.6 for Hamilton, though. Only the first runs. There will be a second chance, obviously. What can Max Verstappen do? 26.8. So only a couple of tenths off in that first sector. Perez as well, 26.7. Perez is quicker at the moment than Valtteri Bottas. Of course, only the first sector. Got to put it all together, but Perez with a good first sector. And Sainz. And there you go. Order restored in the middle sector, but Bottas at the minute quickest. There is nothing between the Mercs in the first and second sectors. Bottas over the line, 1:19.121. Hamilton coming through. What's he going to do? It's a 1:19.0. Goes fastest by, 5/100ths of a second. Massively close. Max Verstappen goes fourth. Perez goes third. So Verstappen only fourth. Perez 1:19.7, 6 tenths off Hamilton. Verstappen in fourth place, 1:19.8, 7 tenths of the fastest time. Then it's the two McLarens. Alex Albon in seventh place. Daniel Ricciardo only eighth. Pierre Gasly ninth. And Lance Stroll down in 10th place. And that is 1.7 seconds covering the top 10. And again, if you remove the Mercs, there's a second between them. So... Got their time deleted, apparently. Alex Albon. So Albon's time's been deleted. That will not count. He's got a lot of pressure on Albon then. Second runs. We're coming up now to the little lull that we get. Have a look at Albon. Is this... he's well wide, really. By comparison to others. That is well wide. I'd imagine a lot of people are going to be frustrated tonight after this session, seeing Mercedes still pretty comfortably out there, but I don't think it's a huge surprise. You got to remember as well, with the party modes being banned, other teams are hurt as well. Maybe not to the same extent that Mercedes were expected to be hurt, but yeah. Verstappen complaining that he's losing pace on the straight when he's even closer to the car. So Verstappen struggling, and 7 tenths in fourth place. And he's got a race. And he said Force India, a racing point in third place. So that's not hashtag not ideal for Max Verstappen tomorrow. And I think he's got to be looking over his shoulder because McLaren, Sainz is only a tenth behind. Only a tenth, easy to say, a tenth of a second, isn't it? But yeah, he's only a tenth behind, and then you've got Norris another tenth behind that. So, but there's a fair gap, 6 tenths between Lando Norris in 6th and Daniel Ricciardo in 7th. There's definitely more pace there. Stroll went wide on his lap through the Lesmo, so that has messed that up. He's concerned about damage. Alex Albon's lap has been deleted for track limits. We're coming up to 6 minutes left, and we're all going to be going for... they're going to go for their second runs. Prince of the Underground, do you think it's the party mode ban that's helping McLaren? It could be. We'll see what Ricciardo does, because if that Renault does get somewhere near the top three where it's been threatening to do all weekend so far, then probably yes. Because there seems to be a lot of power in that Renault, but that McLaren's been pretty good this season. They fell away a little bit at times, but they've been pretty good this season. So I think I think they've just got a good car. And then Renault have delivered a power unit that's actually, probably much to Red Bull's frustration, actually got some power in it finally. And it's all kind of come together, and then you throw that engine mode ban in there as well, and maybe, but we'll see what Ricciardo can do. I think that's the big question, because Renault, if you missed the other news that was out this week, might be looking at a rebrand for 2021, I think. Is it Alpine or Alpine? I think the colours are sort of blue and yellow, and there's an orange in there, I think, as well. So might be a rebrand. That's the sport brand, I think, they're trying to push, and Cyril Abiteboul's been sort of put in charge of that. So watch this space. We might get another new name for the Enstone team. How many have they had over the years? 1 million? If it feels like it, doesn't it? The likes of Benetton and whatnot, Tolman. So yeah, lots of names for them. Something to keep an eye on over the rest of this season. Probably the winter. Is it Alpine? Probably. We'll see. I kind of feel like I want to say Alpine. I feel like Alpine. Yeah. Anyway, back to qualifying, Q3. It's looking for toes. Hamilton isn't getting a toe from Bottas. I think that's what Mercedes have done. I think they've effectively said, neither of you fighting in air quotes for this world championship. We don't want to favour one or the other, so let's not cause too many problems. But we got the Red Bulls right behind Lewis Hamilton, so that's going to help. Right then, on board with Lewis Hamilton. With this one, we'll keep an eye on sector time. So there's half a tenth between them. So not a huge amount of time for Bottas to find if he wants to turn this around. But we'll see what Hamilton can do. Of course, again, I'll keep saying it, no party modes. We're used to hearing about all the power units being cranked right up for these final runs, aren't we? And they aren't going to be doing that today. They are already at that power. So what you got is what you got, basically. So what's Bottas done? Bottas did a 26.7, Hamilton a 26.6. Alexander Albon 26.7. So good first sectors. And Ricciardo goes purple in the first sector. I'm watching Danny Rick. It's a 26.1 for Hamilton, a 26.2 for Bottas in the middle. I'm watching Ricciardo. I don't expect a purple middle sector. 26.8 in the middle for Ricciardo, so not great. Bottas coming to the line now. What's he going to do? It is a 118.956. That's track record gone again. What is Hamilton going to do? 118.956 for Bottas. It's a 118.887 for Hamilton. 7 100s between the Mercedes boys. It's pole position for Lewis Hamilton, obviously. What's Danny Rick going to do? Danny Rick goes up into 5th place. Gasly over the line. Perez as well over the line, not improving. Ricciardo 5th, as I say. What can Sainz and Norris do? Both of those improving. Sainz moves up into P3. What a lap from Carlos Sainz. P3. Norris goes 6th. And then we've got Lance Stroll up to P8. And that is absolutely brilliant from Carlos Sainz. It's pole position for Lewis Hamilton. There's still a minute and a half to go in the session. That's a weird feeling. There's still a minute and a half to go. So used to be, that's it now. You expect the checkered flag. We've got plenty of time. But yeah, at the minute, unless anything changes in this minute and 20 seconds, which I highly doubt. Lewis Hamilton is on pole position. Valtteri Bottas in second place, 7/100ths off his teammate. Then 8/10ths further back is Carlos Sainz in third place. Sergio Perez in fourth. Max Verstappen in fifth. Lando Norris sixth. Daniel Ricciardo seventh. Lance Stroll eighth. Alexander Albon ninth. And Pierre Gasly 10th. I promise, go through that properly with all the times and things like that. But I need to tweet something first because I'm just feeling sarcastic. So bear with me. Simple as that. Just quite simply, how about that party mode ban? Made no difference, has it? It's made. I'm laughing because it's. I kind of. I said this in my video about 3 weeks ago that it was going to make absolutely no difference on a Saturday. You just might mean that instead of being a second clear, it's half a second, but it's 8/10ths between Lewis Hamilton and Carlos Sainz. In fact, is that bigger than it was for Belgium? The gap back to third, I fear it might be. And that is the checkered flag. Or should be the checkered flag any second. There you go. Qualifying is over. I'm going to go and try and find the times for Belgium because I think that'd be an interesting comparison. Obviously still a power track, but still a very different track. So qualifying, the gap back to Verstappen was about half a second. So yeah, it's actually increased. I did just say it here, Astro. Don't worry. Literally all I've put on Twitter, you're not missing anything, is how about that party mode ban? It's, yeah. I mean, staggering, isn't it? I mean, that's such a dominant force. It reminds me of when Ferrari, they used to try and do this to Ferrari quite often, didn't they? In the 2000s, they tried it with Red Bull, and then they'd just turn up the next race after they tried to chase something, and they'd still absolutely dominate. That's exactly what this is, but nothing between the Mercs, 700ths of a second. But Carlos Sainz, I think, if we're looking away from Lewis Hamilton's stellar lap and Bottas's performance to get that close, I think Carlos Sainz, qualifying driver of the day, surely. Who else is in there? Let's have a look. So I'm hoping F1 will put the full result up so I can just slap it on screen for you. But although it's there, isn't it? So it doesn't really matter. But yeah, your times then. So Hamilton on pole for tomorrow's Italian Grand Prix. It's the provisional grid, I suppose I'm going to give you now, because there could be some penalties afterwards. Although I'm not actually seeing if anybody is under investigation. But Lewis Hamilton on pole position once again, 118.887. Valtteri Bottas in second place on a 118.9, 7/100ths between them, as I've already said. Carlos Sainz in third place, 119.6, 8/10ths off. 300ths-ish. Yeah, 300ths-ish clear of Sergio Perez in fourth. Max Verstappen only in fifth place, hopefully better tomorrow, 9/10ths away from the fastest time. Daniel Ricciardo in seventh place, 9/10ths as well. 1.1 seconds back is Lance Stroll in eighth place, back from pole, not back from Ricciardo. He's a couple of tenths behind him. Alex Albon only ninth, 1.2 seconds off the fastest time, but actually, I suppose in air quotes, only 3/10ths off Max Verstappen. I think he needs to be sort of a couple of tenths off for to get full potential from that car, but that's not horrific. But position, obviously, 9th place is not great. 10th place for Pierre Gasly. So that's your top 10, 1.2. Only actually a few hundredths himself off of P9. So, again, good showing from Gasly. 11th place, Daniel Kvyat. 12th, Esteban Ocon. 13th is Charles Leclerc. 120.2 was the fastest Ferrari time today. Kimi Raikkonen, Charles Raikkonen. Why not? Kimi Raikkonen in 14th place, 120.9. Kevin Magnussen, 121.5 in 15th. And then out in Q1 was Romain Grosjean, 121.1. Sebastian Vettel, 121.1. Yeah, got caught out there. Antonio Giovinazzi in 18th place, 19th for Russell, and 20th for Nicholas Latifi. Let's have a look at that second half, actually, just for those who are tuning in a bit late. But that is your bottom half of the table. Well, there we go. It's going to be an interesting run to turn one tomorrow, definitely. I think Carlos Sainz, a nice little toe from those Mercs, might be able to cause some trouble. So that could be fun. I think Max Verstappen is going to be keen to make up places early on. And I still think you're probably looking at Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen in some order tomorrow. But it's great to see Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez up there. And actually, I think a lot of credit for the McLaren chassis this weekend, or this season, I suppose you could say, because out qualifying Renault, who were expected to possibly be second or third fastest in qualifying, and actually they've ended up behind two McLarens, a Red Bull and a Racing Point. So bit of a surprise there. Expected more from Danny Rick. I hope there's no gremlins or anything like that in that car after his failure this morning, or his issue this morning. I hope there's nothing going on there, but yeah, going to be a great run. Let's see what you guys are saying in chat, and then we'll do a quick roundup of what's happened for anybody tuning in, and then we'll call it a day for today. Let's go up a little bit, see what you were saying after that. Yes, Sainz did awesome. That's Astro. Perez in fourth, says Trey. Great performance from Perez. Like I said, Belgium was a bit of a surprise for me from Racing Point, so good to see them finding that pace. Max says social distance gathering mode. Oh, dear. Monza is a much shorter lap, says Mitch. That's a very good point. Anyone still on a quick lap? No, nobody was on a quick lap at that point, mate. I did wonder with a minute and a half to go if somebody was still out there, but nobody was out there at all. Nuke Dukem. Ocon, Russell, Raikkonen are marked as incident to be investigated right now. Okay, thank you very much for that, mate. I'll keep an eye on that on Twitter. Appreciate that. Obviously, when I'm gobbing off to you like on YouTube, I can't quite hear what Crofty's saying, which is quite the miracle. People think I shout. He shouts a lot. Wonder what for cheats Mercedes has. They are way too fast. I just think they've got it right. I say that that's something that could go back and haunt me quite easily. It could turn out they have been, but I don't think Mercedes are up to anything. I think they've been doing this for years, haven't they? Now since 2014, they're just so good. It's up to everybody else to catch up, but at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me if they found something, because there's just always something, isn't there, in Formula One? Was that 94 poles now for Lewis as well? So another record. Quite painful for Ferrari, given the Schumacher ties. If he wins this weekend, takes him to 90 wins, and then next weekend 91. Looking forward to Mugello, by the way. We'll talk about that a bit more next week. Ocon surely has to be, says Ben Roberts. I think I'd be surprised if he isn't, but as Nuke Dukem said there, he is under investigation, so absolutely. Red Bull said last year they ideally wanted Albon 3/10 off Max. That's become a significant gap this year. Yeah, I said 3/10. Yeah, good point. I think 2/10. I always think Max Verstappen is worth a couple of tenths in that car. So if he's sort of 2-3 tenths off, I don't think Albon's doing a bad job. Obviously, on a timing screen, when you're looking at Verstappen in fifth and Albon ninth, it looks bad. But looking at the times, it's not horrific. He tends to go better in races as well, and he's got some quick cars to get through tomorrow. So we should see some good racing in that. I mean, we always see good racing, don't we, in what we still call the midfield. I think that's right there. Maurizio, nice stat. Since 1984, Ferrari's always had at least one car in Q3. It's a top 10, yeah. Smooth operator, says Varun. That is a good stat, sorry. I'll go read some more of those. I like the stats they put out after the race, so I'm sad like that. Lights out blog for your stats. Very good. Williams has fallen off in development. Says Packmeister. Maybe. They're a bit like Racing Point, not expecting much development in the season. I would not be surprised if Durelton have already said, you can forget next year. The best we're going to do is maybe move up into ninth, but it's unlikely we're going to score enough points to make ninth in the Constructors, so let's focus on 22 and do what they did in 2014 when they got the Mercedes power unit, of course, and built a good car and jumped up into a top three. I think top three 2 seasons running, so opportunity there in 22, and with hopefully a bit of money behind them, fingers crossed they'll be able to turn this around. But I wouldn't expect much from Williams the rest of this season or next year, so I think you're probably right there, to be fair. Hamilton now with the fastest lap of all time. I think that's the track record of Monza. But in terms of raw speed, I need to wait for the stat. I'm not good at stuff like that, mate. I'm not. So we'll see what F1 put out afterwards. I'm sure they'll put out some lovely graphic on Twitter that tells us, but yeah. I like to work with Lights Out blog, because then Nikki does all the work on the stats and I can just pretend I sound brilliant, and I don't. I love stats, but I'm crap at putting them together. J. Paul, will you do a race watch along tomorrow? Undecided. I think there needs to be some tweaks to the layout here, very slightly just on my end on what I've done. So maybe not, but they're on the cards for the future, so don't worry. I want to move this back to what it was supposed to be when I started doing it. So yeah, maybe not tomorrow, but definitely qualify next week and possibly a race next week. We'll see. If I can get things sorted, then I'll think about it. But yeah, that was a long answer to maybe, wasn't it? I could have just said maybe. leave it at that one. Don't want to overpromise. 116 miles per hour, apparently. We surely are going to get the fastest lap again in F1 on Sakir with the quote-unquote oval track. I hate the fact they're calling it an oval-like track. That's come from someone that's never seen an oval. Good Lord. Even in shape, it's not an oval track. I think... I'm sure Crofty said in practice yesterday that the race time last year, in fact, I might be able to find it on the website. It might be there. Let's have a look. The race time last year was a 1 hour 15 or something like that. So there's a good possibility, a very good possibility, that will be even quicker than that tomorrow because, of course, no turning up and down of power modes, really. So 1 hour 15:26. So we could see a sub 1 hour and a quarter race tomorrow, which wouldn't be a huge surprise, especially if Mercedes have got all this pace they think they can use in the race. Yeah. Interesting. It fascinates me, stuff like that. Lap times and all that business. I know I'll get a life eventually, don't worry. One day I'll go and get a real job. Kiki says triangle. It's definitely more of a triangle than an oval, isn't it? I mean, you know, if that's an oval, then I'm thin. That'll do. Thin and a full head of hair. They were going to win it no matter what, says Red Bull, Sauber, Petronas, probably. Outer ring Sakir looks like old Hockenheim. Lewis didn't get much toe either. Neither Mercedes getting a toe, and they still have that advantage. So all the, Sainz was behind Hamilton, so would have picked up. Verstappen was behind Hamilton, so would have picked up something, and Albon was behind that, so would have got something. So that gap is big, but that's without a toe as well, with everyone else getting, or a lot of people behind them getting toes as well. So, yeah. Appreciate the love, by the way, for the race watch-alongs. I do. It's one of the reasons I want to bring them back. I might go into detail one day about it, but it was an issue with live timing and some other stuff as well as to why they disappeared. But it's never... I've always dressed it up as not enjoying them because that was easier than just telling the truth, I guess, what was really going on. But yeah, the live timing thing's sorted and the other things are sorted. So hopefully going forward. Plus, I've got my nice new setup, so I've got a standing desk now, so I can stand up and really give it full beans with my crofty, throw my arms about and all sorts. It'll be great. Lots of plosives on the microphone for you. It'll be good stuff. Don't know about marbles, Max. Don't know if that's going to happen at all. I'll go through the times again in a moment for anyone just tuning in to finish this one off, but we'll see. We'll see. Pyramid is a good one from Astro there. Good shout. Yeah. Do you think Albon will be dropped, says Marco Bennett? Who takes that seat? Could we see a Perez or a Hulkenberg if Perez gets ousted for Vettel? Maybe, but I don't think they're going to want to do that. I don't think they'll put Gasly back in that car. I don't expect to see Kvyat get promoted. There's no way Tsunoda, even if he gets his super license points, is ready to hop straight in the Red Bull. I just don't see who goes there. And with next year, kind of the rest of this year and next year being a little bit transitional for 22, maybe not. Give him another season, see how he does. I think Marco makes a great point that even if Albon was right up with Max Verstappen every race, he'd still be second in the constructors, so they're not losing any money if they're not happy with performances. So it would be nice to see Red Bull get behind a driver and really back them and give them every opportunity and give them a chance to turn it around, but at the same time, they're quite ruthless. And I said the same about Gasly. I really wanted them to get behind Gasly, and they just never did. But I've got to say, Jordan there saying Albon is horrible in chat. I don't think he's been brilliant, but I do think he's doing better than some people are saying. But I will also say, and I maintain this, I still think there's more potential in Albon in that Red Bull than there was with Gasly. I see more in Albon than I did with Gasly. It never felt like Pierre was ever going to turn that around. And I think part of that was because the team were already putting that pressure on. He put the pressure on himself in testing. I just didn't think he was going to turn it around. With Albon, I can see a guy that has the potential to turn that around, if that makes sense. I think giving him a little bit longer than they gave Gasly makes sense, but they're not going to settle for ninth in qualifying. He is fourth. I know people say he's fourth in the Drivers' Championship, but he is only 3 points clear of a Ferrari that is dog turd. So just bear that in mind. But he is, I think he'll stay because I don't think there are many options out there. I'd love to see Perez in that Red Bull, given that opportunity. I really, really do. Drivers Paradise, or Divers Paradise, sorry, saying, if you enjoyed this, please hit like. Yes, please do like the stream if you enjoyed this. If you didn't, sorry. That's all I can say. Drop a like anyway, why not? And please do subscribe if you're new as well. That'd be massively appreciated. Like I said, I went for 100k last month, and the silver play button's on its way, allegedly on Monday. So I will do an unboxing for you all, which I assume you'll want it on YouTube rather than Twitter or Instagram. I think given that quite literally you guys are the reason I am where I am, I think the right thing to do is put it on YouTube. But if you want it elsewhere, let me know, and I'll do something on there. Some unboxing stuff and get all excited. I know there's like millions of videos out there of people unboxing play buttons, but it's a big moment for me, so I want to share that with you, and you guys are the legends that have got me here, so thank you once again. Should we talk about who's where for anybody just tuning in then? And we'll make some predictions for tomorrow as well in just a moment. So if you are just tuning in, Lewis Hamilton on pole position once again, 94th, I think. Maybe 93rd pole position, somewhere around there. Valtteri Bottas in second place, just 700ths off. Carlos Sainz brilliantly in third place for McLaren, 8/10 off the Mercedes of Hamilton. Sergio Perez in fourth. Max Verstappen only fifth on a 1:18.9, 9/10 off the fastest time, but only a few hundredths behind Perez, to be fair. Lando Norris in sixth place, right there as well. McLaren looking very good. Daniel Ricciardo, I would say disappointing to be seventh. I was expecting more from him, but maybe what happened in FP3 has caused some kind of issue, or maybe just didn't hook the lap up, I don't know, or something to do with the tail. But 9/10 off the fastest time was only, what's that? Well, less than a tenth off P4. So, or just over a tenth off P4, sorry. So not horrific from him again. Lance Stroll in eighth, ninth for Alexander Albon. In ninth place, 1.2 seconds off pole, but only 3/10 off his teammate in fifth. Pierre Gasly in 10th. Good from Gasly, he's impressed me, but only just. His time in Q3 was only just quicker than Kvyat's fastest Q2 time, curiously. What's that, 8/1000ths of a second? So Kvyat's been quick as well. I think AlphaTauri have been quite surprising this season so far, but that's a conversation for another day. Esteban Ocon in 12th place, Charles Leclerc 13th, and Kimi Raikkonen in 14th. Not a great day for Ferrari there. Charles in 13th place. 15th for Kevin Magnussen and 16th for Romain Grosjean. 17th, Sebastian Vettel got caught up in all the chaos in that first session, as did pretty much everybody in that bottom five, to be fair. Most of the field did, if we're being honest. 18th for Giovinazzi, 19th for Russell, and 20th for Nicholas Latifi. Would like to say as well, actually, on Albon very quickly, because I think I'd be stupid not to mention it, really. It's not to take a dig at him, but I would like to say that if Magnussen hadn't made his mistake, Grosjean hadn't made his mistake, we don't know if he was going quicker, I didn't check, so he might. But Albon only just scraped through Q1 and Q2. So I think Saturday seems to be where he struggles the most. I think that's fair to say. Definitely. But he turns it on Sunday, and I'll always say that that's where the points are handed out. So there you go. What do we reckon then? Tomorrow. I think Jay Paul told me off on Sunday for giving Albon a hard time. I don't dislike Albon. I want him to do really well, and I think he will. Like I say, I think he's got more potential to turn it around. But ultimately, Red Bull have got to get behind the driver at some point, and you've got to accept that there's not many drivers you could put in that Red Bull that are going to get anywhere near Verstappen as well. So, yeah. I want to see some overtaking tomorrow. So if he's ninth and we get lots of great overtaking, that's fine. I mean, Albon, Ricciardo, Norris, that's a tasty battle potentially, isn't it? So I'm looking forward to that one. Yes. What do we think for tomorrow then? I think the rundown to turn one is going to be a fascinating one, really. Could be very interesting, that rundown to turn one. Could be a nice toe for Sainz, as I've said before. Could be a nice toe for Verstappen behind Perez. So that's going to be the battle to watch. It's very tight into turn one as well, isn't it? So that could be a bit of chaos down there. We've seen it in the F3 and the F2. This afternoon we'll see it in the F2 rather. So I think that's going to be fun. But I think if I'm making predictions for tomorrow, I think whichever Mercedes gets to turn one first is going to win it. I think that's an obvious prediction to make. Bottas will get that toe if he can. He's got to make the move on Hamilton into turn one. He needs to be aggressive. I think he's got to go aggressive tomorrow. I don't think he will. I just don't think Bottas is that kind of driver. So he's got to get punchy into turn one. We don't want him colliding, or maybe you do. Maybe you do want the Mercedes boys colliding. It would be a hell of a race, wouldn't it? But Mercedes obviously don't want to collide, and Bottas doesn't want to be taking Hamilton out. But he's got to get his elbows out in turn one and give it a go. I think he backed out a little bit too soon at I think it was the first race at Silverstone. I said that at the time. I feel like he backed out a little bit too much. Could have given a bit more. So, yeah, nice and punchy to turn one. But I think it is between the Mercedes boys for the win. Podium-wise, I do think Verstappen will be there. I think it will be Max Verstappen on there. Top three in some order, Hamilton, Bottas, and Verstappen. In fact, I'll tell you now, I think that will be the order. Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen. You never know. Monza can get safety cars. It's a bit more of an old school track. Mistakes happen, don't they? Of course, again, that's another good point. Didn't mention it earlier, did I? The party mode ban, we could see some reliability concerns. So that's always something to look out for tomorrow. Sergio Perez, I think he's got a shot of being... I don't think Perez on the podium. I don't think Sainz will. I think it will be Verstappen. I'm looking at Sainz. I'd love to see him get there. Again, it'd be fantastic. Or Perez. I think Racing Point could do with the podium. I thought they were going to be podium visitors, if you like, quite a lot this season because of all the talk we had pre-season about that car being a copy of last year's Mercedes, and they've never really got that close to it. So I'd like to see them there. But I think that's your top three: Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen. Behind that, it is anybody's game. But I just hope that if Mercedes do disappear and Hamilton pulls out a nice lead early on, and it's a bit like Belgium where it's kind of really controlled and that's it, we get to look at the midfield absolutely tons again, the rest of the grid, because it's so close in there. Even I think Red Bull are in that fight as well. I think Verstappen will have too much tomorrow for those around him, but I think he's got to get through them first, and it's going to be tight. And, Albon's in that midfield, right in that midfield in ninth. You've got Verstappen with some cars around him. Could get punchy in turn one. But I think points for Ferrari as well. I'm gonna go brave. And it may not excite Ferrari fans, but I'm going to go with Charles Leclerc for P9. Get a couple of points on the board. I'm going to do it. I've been predictable and obvious with my prediction for the win, but I'm going to give it to Leclerc. 2 points tomorrow, which I think, given everything that's gone on, I think that'd be like a win for Ferrari. I can't believe I'm saying that. I still can't believe I'm saying that, but that's where they are at the minute. It's crazy. Absolutely one of the worst drop-off in years we've seen from any team, really. So, yeah, we'll go with that one. I'll read some of your predictions out. And then if you want me to do another run for I will, but otherwise we'll probably wrap it up there. So see what you guys are saying. Stop asking about the race watch along. You will not guilt me into it. I will decide tomorrow. Definitely. Samuel says, yes, we want them to collide. Come on, Sean, for God's sake. Who wins? Well, Verstappen wins, doesn't he, if they collide and we get Verstappen third. But I think you're then looking at... I think you are almost looking at names out of a hat for the podium then, because you've got Sainz and Perez are quick. Norris is quick. Ricciardo has been looking very good as well. Albon's going to come through the field. Yeah, it would certainly throw the race. It would be a bit like Spain 2016, wouldn't it? Kind of a bit unpredictable. Good question from Coolio there. Is it a two-stop race? Let's see what Pirelli is saying. Last I read it would be a one-stop. That was before practice and things, though. We'll have a look at what they're saying press release-wise. They've not sent the strategy guide out yet, which is about normal. Just to confirm, is the C2, C3 and C4 available? 4 tenths between the hard and the medium, 6 tenths between the medium and the soft. I'm hoping their preview is here somewhere, but I don't think it is. I would be surprised. It's not supposed to be epically hot. It's supposed to be warm and sunny, but I don't think we're going to get stupidly hot temperatures. So I think we are looking at a one-stopper. I'm going to see what they're saying, because they do a massive... If you've not seen it, they do a massive preview on their website and kind of give you some strategy ideas in there. And we'll see what they're saying. The last year's race we know was won by a one-stopper. So that was fine. They seem to be leaning towards a one-stopper. If the weather isn't warm, another effect of the long and fast straights at Monza is to cool the tyres down, meaning that they might not be completely up to temperature for the following corner. So that's something to keep an eye on tomorrow. But it looks like they're saying one-stopper, but I think they're softer, aren't they? Might be wrong. I think they're softer than last year. They might not be, but yeah, I think probably one stop for Mercedes. But then they might have an advantage to be able to pull two. I'd be surprised if we don't see some two stoppers in the midfield to try and mix things up. Safety cars, of course, are crucial. If you get an early safety car, you can go soft tyre to hard tyre, but there's no guarantees. We've seen a couple of times this season now that they're going to get to the end. So if I'm guessing now, I'd say one stopper, but I'm going to go, it's all going to change if we get a safety car, maybe two. It's not going to be any more than two. I'd be surprised if it's any more than one, to be honest. Yeah. Reading your comments on Mercedes colliding. We've done that, so we'll quickly go through. Liam, good afternoon, mate. Says, God, I would love to see Carlos on the podium again. I'd like Carlos to get the podium because he got the podium in Brazil, but he didn't get to stand up there properly, did he? He went up with the team afterwards, but he didn't get that proper podium ceremony. So it would be nice to see him up there for that, make up for that one a little bit. Ocon will crash into someone because that's what he does, says Jay Paul. I'd say Perez did a lot of crashing into Ocon as well, to be fair, during their time together. I will always argue that one. Hope science proves Ferrari right. Sean, you could do... what you could do is clip that bit from the end of the stream and make that your post-quali video. No, I've tried that before. It don't go down very well, mate. So if people want to hear my post-quali ramblings like this, you're mad, is the first point. Secondly, it'll be timestamped down below if anybody wants to listen. So it's pretty easy to click on the timestamp, but not everyone likes to. Will Ferrari be lapped, says KLX. I think people are expecting them to be. I think they are. So... yeah, I called it in the Crazy Predictions live stream that McLaren will finish third. So far, I am on track. You even have an SS of it, a screenshot of it from Andre. I probably do, actually. I probably do somewhere. There were some mad predictions in the predictions video, and we all kind of sort of sneered at the... kind of looked at people going, what the hell are they talking about? Third for McLaren? You're mad. You might be onto it. So I'll try and remember that, Andre, for end of the season, and you'll get a massive shout out for that one. Absolutely will. Can we just point out how bad the Ferrari powered cars are? Like, wow. Says Epop. Yeah, pretty terrible. They are the back of the grid, aren't they? So you've got Leclerc, Raikkonen. So yeah, it's all the Ferrari powered cars. Leclerc down to Giovinazzi, and then it's the two Williams at the back. And they are a long way off in terms of pace. So I said in my video on Wednesday, I do think the power unit is a massive reason why Ferrari is struggling, but I don't think that's the only reason. I think there is some... I hate the word toxicity because it makes it sound like somebody's causing trouble. I don't mean it like that, but I think there's quite a tense is probably a good word, a tense environment behind the scenes with Vettel leaving and the way that he's being ignored at time on team radio, and it's very frosty, and I think that's causing problems. I think Binotto was spread too thinly initially when he took the role. He's only just had to give up his technical director's role when they did the reshuffle at the beginning of August, so that's only just gone away. So he's not been able to focus on managing the team effectively, which is just crazy when you think about it. You would think that you'd want your manager to manage, but never mind. And then you've got everything else on top of that with the car maybe not being good. I mean, go back to... I did a news video back in January where it was reported at the time the noise coming from Maranello was that the car was worse than expected, and we all kind of said, "Oh, nah, they're just posturing," and then they arrive and they've been pretty terrible. So I think the power is a massive part of it, but I think there's more going on there. I really, really do. And maybe one day we'll get into conspiracy theories. We'll get Jonty on for a conspiracy theory stream. We love conspiracy theories on this channel. It does wind people up. The key word for Ferrari is dysfunctional, says Louis. Good point. Or is it Louis or Lewis? It's spelt Louis. I've had this, yeah. We've had this argument in my family recently about whether it's Louis or Lewis. But a couple more points, and then I'll do another quick run through the order, and then we'll call it a day. Let's go to somebody I've not read out. Who've got Crystal Racing. Ferrari's engine was clearly illegal, hence why they are so much slower. We can all make our own minds up on that. Officially, nothing illegal, but it's at least suspicious, isn't it? Crystal Racing, no doubt about that whatsoever. I want to give Ferrari their engine back out of pity. I can't watch this, says Varun, and I can now only think of Lewis Hamilton. Good point. Will Perez's performance finish with conversation regarding Vettel replacing him? Says Mr. Gabriel. I think if Perez can perform, he gives Racing Point a very difficult decision to make, doesn't he? But I think if nothing's been signed, I wouldn't be surprised if the Vettel to Racing Point thing has been verbally agreed. I think they seem pretty keen on him. There has been every opportunity, as I've said in videos before and streams before, and a lot of people say on social media as well, there's been plenty of opportunity for Racing Point to come out and shut that rumour down, and they haven't, and I think that speaks volumes. The problem for Racing Point is Lance Stroll is also performing. I know he's 8th today, but he's been doing very well this season. He's surprised quite a few people, so they've actually got a tough decision to make. I don't think the Stroll keeping the seat thing is probably to do with his dad. I think we can all, if I say probably, it is to do with his dad, but I don't think it's as straightforward as that. He's not just there because of his dad. He's been performing this season, and I'd still keep Perez. Vettel and Perez is a very tasty lineup, but if he keeps performing or starts performing and picks up a couple of podiums, some big points, and all of a sudden they're going to be thinking, well, hang on a minute, why are we getting rid of him? Sebastian Vettel's down in 17th and Sergio Perez is up in 4th. Why are we getting rid of him? But, that Ferrari isn't good, so we'll see. We seriously need a wet race soon. That's from a mole. No rain tomorrow, unfortunately, although I'm sure that we'll still be all watching the skies and hoping that 60% chance of rain, as we seem to get every weekend, works out. 2 more questions, then I'll do a quick run through. While it has been great to have F1 back this year, this season has been dull. The drama off the track has often been better than on it. That's from Keith. Do you know, the drama off track, I love politics. I don't know if you're the same, Keith, and I'm sure people do. I love the politics of F1. I love all that crazy stuff behind the scenes, but we do predominantly watch for the racing, and we want to see great racing. And I think I'm gonna bang that drum again. Here it comes. You've got to pick your battles, haven't you, with Formula One sometimes? And we're in one of those seasons where you kind of have to almost, if Hamilton and or Bottas disappear up front, you kind of have to just focus on what's going on behind. But I also appreciate the casual viewers. Somebody said this to me the other day, they don't watch very often. They are a new casual viewer, so they're really only interested in the championship. That's fine, each to their own. But when you've been watching for quite a while, you kind of have to pick your fights. And I think we've got a great, everything behind the Mercedes the fighting there is brilliant and it's so close, but the championship is what people watch for. And if that's already done, then people will switch off. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, it's not been, championship-wise, it's not been the best, but I've thoroughly enjoyed what we've seen, and we've seen a lot of it, to be fair, going on behind that. So yes, F1 politics is good fun, though. I do enjoy that. It's been crazy. Everything, Concord Agreement, party mode bans, DAS, all the politics and protests around the Racing Point. It's all come at once, hasn't it? It's been great fun. One more then, very, very quickly. Thoughts on Helmut Marko admitting that Max and Alex's cars are not equal? Actually, thank you very much for that question, because is that FKez? Because I meant to mention that in the thing. Helmut Marko has said that the cars are not, Albon's not had the same parts as Max Verstappen, so that's part of the reason why he's not been delivering, but hopefully they can get in the parts on that car as soon as possible. I still think, not an excuse, because he's given a reason, which is fair enough, and Helmut Marko knows more about what's going on behind the scenes than I do, obviously. But and I think that's the other thing with the Gasly thing I was talking about. I think there seems to be more, they seem to be defending Albon more, don't they? And that's one of the reasons. So yeah, I don't know really. I can believe it because Verstappen's the number one driver, but Albon could still be closer. But then if he's not got an equal car, it's difficult, isn't he? But even if he had an equal car, he's still going to be 2 or 3 tenths off, I think, of Max Verstappen. So, and that's where he is today. I don't think there's much in that at all. I don't know. Keep an eye on him. Hopefully we'll get some news soon on everything being working. It's such a crazy season, was Helmut Marko's point, and they've not been able to get the equal parts on the car. So, yeah. Long story short, I'm not 100% on that. I think it feels like a bit of an excuse, but at the same time, it's a fair excuse. If you, it's 3:30. I've gone this far without saying it, but I'm going to say it. Stoffel Van Dorn. There you go. It's in the stream. What he got on McLaren, he was nowhere near the pace of Alonso. We all know that, but he was also their guinea pig, and that's kind of the role he ended up with, and that kind of. Although he wasn't, it hurts me to say it, although he wasn't good enough and he was nowhere near Alonso, and I think replacing him in the end was the right decision, he wasn't on the pace. He also wasn't really given every opportunity, and I worry that about Albon, but it does seem like they're kind of right behind him, Red Bull, which is quite a weird feeling, and I hope they're going to give him that chance. But the sooner he can get some equal parts on, the excuses stop, and we can all go, right, what is the gap to Verstappen? And if it's 2 or 3 tenths, that's fine. There you go. Let's have a run through the order then before I disappear once more for those who are just tuning in. Lewis Hamilton, fastest from Valtteri Bottas, so that's pole for Lewis, of course. Carlos Sainz, third place. Sergio Perez, fourth. Max Verstappen in fifth. Sixth for Lando Norris. Seventh for Daniel Ricciardo. Eighth for Lance Stroll. Ninth for Alexander Albon and Pierre Gasly in 10th place. We lost Daniel Kvyat in 11th, Esteban Ocon 12th, Charles Leclerc 13th, Kimi Raikkonen 14th, and Kevin Magnussen 15th in Q2. Yes, Sean, that comes before 3 and after 1. Well done. 16th for Romain Grosjean, he was out in Q1, as was Sebastian Vettel, Antonio Giovinazzi, George Russell in 19th, and Nicholas Latifi in 20th. So there you go. Final thought on the stream. Next year, because that'll be the third year in a row, the FIA need to be looking at what the hell was going on track in Q1. That cannot happen again because it compromised I think it compromised everybody in that bottom 5 and around that bottom 5, the drop zone in Q1. It certainly cost Russell. It definitely cost Raikkonen and probably Ocon as well. It certainly cost Vettel getting knocked out like that. Grosjean made a mistake, to be fair, on his lap, but that needs to be looked at because I still feel that's an accident waiting to happen, and I worry that the FIA are going to do what the FIA always do, as I tweeted earlier, and wait for a massive accident to happen before they address it. So hopefully it gets sorted. It was a mess. It looked ridiculous. Ultimately, though, it could have been a hell of a lot worse. So I'm just in an advert there with the B-roll I use. Awesome. And if any teams are listening, which they won't be, I'm fully aware, don't have to say it in the comments, but if any teams are listening, please send some more B-roll because I'm getting bored of everything from winter testing. That'd be great. But anyway, let's wrap that one up here. Over to the end screen. Could use my stream deck. What am I doing? Press the button, Sean. Anyway, that is it for this stream. Thank you so much for your company this Saturday afternoon. I'll let you all go now and have a nice relaxed afternoon. Watch some F2, which is on next. If you've not watched F2, you should be. You absolutely should be. Great series and some great racing as well. Now, I will be back definitely at around 5 p.m. tomorrow for the race reaction. If I decide to do a race watch along, I will let you know on Twitter. So make sure you are following me over on social media. I've got Dan with me for the race reaction, by the way, tomorrow. So that'll be around 5 o'clock UK time, around an hour and a half after the race has finished. But I'll let you know if anything changes. In the meantime, like I say, make sure you follow me on social media. All of the links you need for that are in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you again in the next one. Bye-bye.